Chapter 49-57 In the Vast Mountains. Bai Susu and the rest looked around and asked, "Where are we?" Lin Xian said, "Xiantian Pavilion." Lin Xian came here to repay Xiantian Pavilion for saving his life. Also, he needed to meet the pavilion master of Xiantian Pavilion. He was Xiang Tian. This person had a close relationship with Xia Jiao. Hence, he didn't know if Xiang Tian wanted to return this time. "Let's go." The group retracted their auras and descended. After flying for about 5 days, they finally saw a mountain gate in front of them. That was Xiantian Pavilion. "Stop, who are you?" The Xiantian Pavilion's formation was activated. The guards stood in the formation and shouted. They looked like they were facing a great enemy. Lin Xian and the rest stopped and said, "It's me." "Who are you?" The guards obviously didn't know Lin Xian. "Newbies?" Lin Xian sighed. He looked behind him. "You guys have been here for a long time. Go on." At this moment, Shangguan Shaoxian, Gao Jianli and the rest walked out. "It's us, we're back." The guards looked carefully and then exclaimed, "It's you guys." They didn't expect these people to come back. "Great, come in." They opened the formation and let Lin Xian and the rest in. Then they quickly closed it. Shangguan Shaoxian asked, "Why are you guys so nervous?" "It's good that you guys are back. The situation in Xiantian Pavilion hasn't been good recently. Come, I'll bring you guys in." The guards brought Lin Xian and the rest into Xiantian Pavilion. The atmosphere in Xiantian Pavilion was very strange. The guards had already informed Jian Wuk and the other elders. They also hurried out and looked at Shangguan Shaoxian, Fu Hongya and Lin Xian in shock. "You guys are finally back." Especially when they saw Lin Xian, they heaved a sigh of relief. "Great, little guy." Lin Xian smiled. "Greetings, seniors." "What happened?" The golden body elder sighed. "It was hard to explain. In this area, Milky Way Sect, Freezing Rain Palace, and Zhan Wangfeng all worked together to suppress Xiantian Pavilion. We had to seal the mountain gate. We suffered heavy losses during this period. Some minds and spirit veins were taken away by them. Even the disciples and elders who went out were injured and many were killed." Shangguan Shaoxian and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. Their faces turned ghastly pale. Why did they work together? These people deserve to die. Lin Xian's face darkened. Xiantian Pavilion had done him a favor, and he knew how to repay it. He asked, "What was going on with Senior?" "There are people from Sixth Sect and Misty. The two of them are secretly supporting each other and integrating the other 3 forces to suppress our profound Heaven Pavilion. If it's not Lord is, Xiantian Pavilions would have been destroyed. Since you're here, hurry up and leave. This place is a dangerous place, dangerous place." Lin Xian said, "Senior Wu Shuang, I am indebted to all of you. Moreover, whether it is the Misty Peak or the Sixth Tao School, it is all because of me. Lin, they wanted to capture Pavilion to me. I can't just ignore this matter. Don't worry, I'll make them pay." The golden body elder shook his head and sighed. "So many of us can't do anything. Can Lin Xian do anything? Although you're a genius, you're still too young." Lin Xian said, "It's okay. I brought a lot of people with me this time. It's not a problem." He was facing the remote antiquity families and even the monarch families directly. Therefore, he didn't care about these forces. "Elder Zhang, this is bad." At this moment, a warrior flew in with a letter of challenge in his hand. His face was pale. After he arrived, he told the elders that the situation was not good. The Ice and Snow Palace had sent over a letter of challenge. Jian Wushuang took it, glanced at it, and threw it on the ground. "This is too much." The golden body elder's face darkened after reading it. Lin Xian took it and glanced at it. He frowned. The letter of challenge said that the 3 spirit veins, 1 dragon vein, and 1 or vein that originally belonged to Xiantian Pavilion were now occupied by the Ice Palace. They said that if they wanted to get it back, they had to fight a fair battle. They even invited all the families and sects in the area to watch the battle. Obviously, they didn't just want more resources. They also wanted to slap Xiantian Pavilion in the face. They wanted to topple Xiantian Pavilion from their position as the overlord of the area. If they lost this battle, Xiantian Pavilion's momentum would drop to a freezing point. They might not be able to make a comeback. When that happened, the three overlords would swallow Xiantian Pavilion. Fight them. Some of the Xiantian Pavilion's geniuses walked over and gritted their teeth. Jian Wushuang, the Golden Body Elder, and the others also had ugly expressions. I'll gather all my forces. We can't lose this battle. Lin Xian said, It seems that there are still 5 days before the battle begins. Let's do it. You? Jian Wushuang was stunned. The people from Xiantian Pavilion also looked over. They were all puzzled. Bai Susu said, It's a small matter. Leave it to us. That's right. Nailin Liang and the others also nodded. These people actually dared to attack our boss's benefactor. They're courting death. We'll make them pay a painful price. The Golden Body Elder and Jian Wuk were stunned. Where did this group of youngsters get their confidence from? Could it be that they were all top experts? Especially the geniuses from Xiantian Pavilion, they were even more puzzled. They were all top geniuses, but they couldn't handle it at all. Lin Xian said, Seniors, don't you believe in my strength? The Golden Body Elder asked, Kid, tell me, what realm are you at now? Can you fight against a Peak Saint King? In their opinion, no matter how talented Lin Xian and the others were, they were only at this level. However, Lin Xian laughed. The Toad said, Peak Saint King? Old man, let's make a bold guess. We don't even care about great saints. If he comes, we'll kill him with a slap. Nailin Liang also said, No problem. Not to mention one great saint. Even if a few great saints come, we'll make sure they don't return. They were right. With such a strong lineup, they really weren't afraid. The people from Xiantian Pavilion were stunned. Wuk and the other elders also frowned. No matter how they looked at it, it didn't seem real. Lin Xian said, Leave it to us. The seniors are tired. Originally, he wanted to meet Xiang Tian first. But now, it seemed that he had to resolve the crisis of Xiantian Pavilion first. 5 days passed quickly. Purple Caltrip Lake. This was a very famous lake in this area. At this moment, there were many people around Purple Caltrip Lake, because this was the time for the battle between the 4 giants. Everyone in the area already knew that Xiantian Pavilion was finished. After this battle, there would probably be no more Xiantian Pavilion. In the future, there would only be 3 overlords, and the other families could also divide it. It was even possible that a new overlord would be born from these families. So, for this battle, people from the nearby families and sects all came. Chapter 4958. The most famous ones were the 3 forces, Long River Sect, Ice Palace, and War King Peak. The 3 forces had already joined forces with Misty Peak and 6 Dao Gate behind them. They weren't afraid of anything. As long as they could swallow Xiantian Pavilion, their strength would increase tremendously. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but feel excited. The 3 forces were ready, waiting for the people from Xiantian Pavilion to arrive. Why aren't they here yet? Are they afraid? The people from Long River Sect frowned. The people from Ice Palace sneered. It's useless to be afraid. If they don't come, we'll kill them. When the time comes, we'll destroy Xiantian Pavilion. The 3 forces were high and mighty, like supreme overlords. On the other side of the lake were the other families and sections. When they heard this, they sucked in a cold breath. It seemed that Xiantian Pavilion was really unlucky. When noon came, the people from Spiritual State and War Chariots finally flew over. They're here. Everyone looked up at the sky. The 3 overlords sneered. Are they here to die? The people from Xiantian Pavilion had indeed come. They stood on the war chariots in the sky and looked down at the people below, frowning. The Golden Body Elder said coldly, Damn it, are they trying to embarrass us? They actually invited all the families and sects in this area. We can't lose this battle. Jian Wook clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. But did they really have a chance to win? Although Xiantian Pavilion was powerful, the other three forces weren't any weaker than them. Lin Xian looked down and said loudly, "Don't worry, they'll regret it this time." Toad and the others also said that. "Is this all? It's not enough. Even if they double, we can still win easily." The people from Xiantian Pavilion were already numb to the words of Toad and the others. In their opinion, it might be Lin Xian and the others who were enlightening them. But no matter what, they were still grateful. Lin Xian came to help at the crucial moment. "You're finally here." The people in the river stood up, their eyes shining with a terrifying light. They landed. Jian Wook and the others landed and walked over with large strides. "We are here to accept the challenge." "Haha, Brother Xiantian. Today is your last day of existence. From today onwards, there will be no more Brother Xiantian in this world." In the distance, Boss Zhang in the Long River laughed. "Tell me, how do you want to compete?" Jian Wook walked out and gritted his teeth. A woman from the Ice and Snow Palace sneered. Were they in such a hurry to die? "All right, it's very simple. Your Profound Heaven Pavilion will take turns to compete with our three great sects, and the winner will be 2 out of 3. As long as you can win, 2 of our 3 great sects will be considered your victory. We won't do anything to you again." Damn it, they had gone too far. The other party had a compassionate look on his face, but the conditions were too harsh. How could the Xiantian Pavilion withstand the combined might of the 3 great sects? Going too far, an expert from the Battle King Peak also walked over. The Sword Elder was no longer the same as before. "We've already been very courteous to you. If we go too far, we'll lead our army and kill our way to your Profound Heaven Pavilion. At that time, your Profound Heaven Pavilion will disappear. We have been very merciful in that case." These people were really arrogant. Bai Susu and the others frowned. Shangguan Shaoxian, Fu Hongya, and the others were also gnashing their teeth. Lin Xian's face darkened. He walked out and said, "Since we're going to fight, let's make it big." "Who are you?" Many people stared at Lin Xian with their brows tightly knitted together. Lin Xian ignored them and said, "How about this? The Profound Heaven Pavilion and the 3 great sects will fight 10 times each. If we lose one battle, the Profound Heaven Pavilion will admit defeat." The moment he said that, the surrounding people were stunned. The people from the 3 great sects were shocked. Was this kid tired of living? Too slow? Jian Wook and the others were also in an uproar. They all looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "Don't worry, seniors, we won't lose." Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. That was a look of confidence. "All right." Jian Wook and the others nodded. They had no choice, whether it was Lin Xian's idea or the other party's rules. Their chances of winning were slim. Since that was the case, they might as well fight it out. The great elder in the Long River laughed coldly. "Jian Wook, has the Profound Heaven Pavilion fallen to such a state? You actually let a young man be so arrogant. Do you think this is possible? Don't play any tricks. Hurry up and fight." The people of the Ice and Snow Hall also furrowed their brows. Jian Wook said, "Lin Gongzi's words are the same as the Profound Heaven Pavilion's. All right, since you want to die, we'll fulfill your wish." The experts from the War King Peak snorted coldly. The 3 sects discussed and felt that the other party was in despair because he knew he was going to die. They would not give him a chance. They quickly selected 10 people from their side. Lin Xian said, 10 battles, regardless of life or death. No objections, right? Of course not. The great elder of the Long River sect snorted coldly. They would definitely kill him. The 2 sides fought on the Ziling Lake. The other sects also walked up and started discussing. They all felt that the Profound Heaven Pavilion was going to die. The people from the profound heaven pavilion also had expressions of despair. Was Lin Xian really here to help them? Why did it feel like he was trying to harm them? Lin Xian looked at Jianwuk. Jianwuk said, "The people I brought with me will fight in the next round. Just watch." After saying that, he turned around and looked at the people from the Divine Union. "I owe the profound heaven pavilion a debt of gratitude. Now that the three great sects want to destroy the profound heaven pavilion, you don't have to hold back when you fight. Boss, don't worry. We can kill such trash in one move." The people from the Divine Union laughed. They did not have people like Lin Xian and the Dragon Prince in the Dao sect. However, those who could enter the Dao sect were not weak. Not to mention, they could enter the Divine Gate Union. It could be said that these people were much stronger than the young geniuses of the three great sections. They were from two different worlds. Bai Susu and the other core members did not even bother to fight. "Come on, I can't wait to send you all to hell." The people on the other side of the river stepped forward first. The 10 young geniuses stood on the opposite side of the lake. One of them moved and appeared on the surface of the lake. The surrounding spiritual lake bloomed, and a boundless radiance turned into 9 huge dragons that roared between heaven and earth. Not good. The faces of the people watching from afar changed. The river was originally filled with water-type nomological laws. Now that they were fighting on the Zeeling Lake, they had a huge advantage. The profound heaven pavilion had no chance of turning the tables this time. Chapter 49-59. The people from the Ice Palace sneered. They believed that even the mysterious sky pavilion couldn't gather 30 geniuses. Previously, they had ambushed and assassinated the mysterious sky pavilion. Many of their geniuses were now seriously injured and weren't a match for them. As for that arrogant young man, they didn't even think much of him. How strong could a young man be? Could he really overturn the heavens? Up ahead, the man in the long river stood above the purple spiritual lake and sneered. On Lin Xian's side, a disciple from the Divine Union walked over. This person had short hair and was carrying a battle blade on his back. His expression was ice cold, and he looked ordinary. However, there was no fear on his face. His figure flashed, and he arrived above the purple spiritual lake. Opposite him, the genius in the long river sneered. "My name is Zhenyu. Tell me your name." The short-haired man shook his head. "I don't need to know your name. You don't have the right to know my name either. Come on, it's a matter of one move." Zhen Yu's face darkened. This guy was too arrogant. The surrounding people were also in an uproar. Even the people from the mysterious sky pavilion were stunned. Lin Xian wasn't the only one who didn't seem to care. Why did the people he had brought with him have the same expression? Could these people really have some kind of trump card? The people in the long river all laughed. A few geniuses crossed their arms and snorted coldly. How dare this guy look down on Jinyu? He was too reckless. He had already angered Jinyu. Once Jinyu used his Lotus Lake Divine Sword, this guy wouldn't be able to withstand more than 3 moves. Zhen Yu's face darkened. He pulled out a purple sword and said coldly, "No one has ever dared to be so arrogant in front of me. In that case, I'll show you my ultimate technique, the continuous call Divine Sword." When this sword was slashed out, countless lakes surged and turned into terrifying sword shadows. The faces of the people watching the battle from afar changed. It was said that this sword had killed 3 geniuses of the same level. It was extremely terrifying. The people from the mysterious sky pavilion closed their eyes. They couldn't watch anymore. The short-haired man looked at the sword shadows that covered the sky expressionlessly. When the sword shadows neared him, he pulled out the battle blade on his back. He slashed out with his blade. Boom! Boom! A resplendent radiance turned into the only thing in the world. At this moment, everyone was so dazzled that they couldn't open their eyes. They could only hear a loud, rumbling sound. After a long time, they opened their eyes. The short-haired youth turned around, sheathed his saber, and left. Was the battle over? They looked carefully. The sneer on Zhen Yu's face turned into terror. His body was split in half, and his blood dyed the purple spirit lake red. He was dead. Countless people cried out in surprise. He had been killed in one strike. The person in the river suddenly stood up. The geniuses were dumbstruck, and the elders' faces were gloomy. What's going on? They looked at each other. Did you see that saber strike clearly? Which sex absolute art was it? An elder shook his head. He didn't know and didn't pay attention. That blade was too fast, like lightning. Damn, that short-haired youth was actually an expert. This was definitely not the martial arts of the profound Heaven Pavilion. Back at the Ice Palace, the people from the Battle King Peak were also frowning. They didn't expect that the profound Sky Pavilion would actually ask for help. The people from the Xiantian Pavilion were also stunned. Looking at the short-haired man walking back, those young geniuses were shocked. The elders also sucked in a breath of cold air. He had killed Jinyu with one strike. The other party had really done it. They didn't expect that Lin Xian would actually bring back an expert. This was a peerless bladesman. However, Jian Wuk still frowned. Even so, there were still too many geniuses from the three great sections. Winning one round was nothing. Toad smiled. Old man, don't worry. This is just the most ordinary person in the Divine Union. If the others went up, they would definitely not be weaker than him. Jian Wuk and the others from the Xiantian Pavilion were shocked as they looked at the short-haired youth. This was the most ordinary person. What kind of joke was this? This short-haired youth would definitely be furious. However, the short-haired youth just smiled. Boss Toad is right. I am indeed very ordinary. The Golden Body Elder, Jian Wuk, and the others couldn't stand properly. They were about to fall. This was called ordinary? Heavens, who exactly were these people? The people from the three great sects were also discussing this. They quickly came to a conclusion. Perhaps the other party just wanted to send an exceptional bladesman to intimidate them in the first round. However, the other party definitely didn't have any geniuses left. In the next 9 rounds, the Long River would definitely not lose again. Don't be careless. Do you hear me? The great elder in the Long River said. The other 9 geniuses also had grave expressions. Great elder, don't worry. We will let them know what despair is. The second genius walked up. He held a treasure bottle in his hand. It was also a water-type nomological item. Who dares to fight with me? The youth in the Long River shouted coldly. He had a head of golden hair and emitted a mysterious aura. Let me do it. Another figure walked out from the Divine Union. This person had blue hair and was very handsome. He held a folding fan in his hand and looked very confident. His appearance attracted the attention of many female martial artists in the audience. He was so handsome. However, the male cultivators sneered. What was the use of being handsome? He would go to hell sooner or later. I am Lung Fei, the disciple of the Long River's third elder, Lung Fei. Prepare to die. The green, precious bottle blossomed with terrifying radiance, releasing exceptional radiance. Clear river sky seal? Countless people exclaimed in admiration. They did not expect Lung Fei's talent to be so high that he was able to learn such an ultimate skill. The great elder in the Long River laughed heartily. A gray-haired old man looked very pleased. This was his disciple. Just wait and see. His disciple was going to shine in this round. Damn it. The people from the mysterious sky pavilion became nervous again. It was obvious that the Long River was ready to kill. He had used a technique right from the start. 1. The terrifying green radiance shattered the void in front of him and completely enveloped the blue-haired man. The sky fell and the earth cracked. Lung Fei laughed heartily. Just as he was about to turn around, a figure appeared behind him. Too weak. Your movements are too slow. You are full of loopholes. How is this possible? Lung Fei's hair stood on end. When did the other party appear behind him? He was about to turn around when his head was chopped off. Then his body was torn into pieces and turned into a bloody mist. Snow and rain danced in the air. Wherever the blue-haired man passed, everything retreated, forming a space zone. He returned without a speck of dust on him. When he returned, he said, "Boss, I did not challenge you. You are too weak. I want to make a move on his elder." Lin Xian smiled. There would be a chance. The blue-haired man returned to the team. The people from the mysterious sky pavilion opened their eyes wide. Elder Genwuk and the others were dumbfounded. Was it another instant kill? What was going on? The people on the other side of the long river went crazy. The third elder's smug smile disappeared. He roared in exasperation. "Who are you? How dare you kill my disciple?" Chapter 4960. Why? Are you not convinced? Lin Xian said coldly. The great elder in the river stood up and shouted angrily. He was not from the Xiantian pavilion. "You guys are despicable." The Crimson Dragon was also furious. "We are despicable. The three sects teamed up to deal with us. Aren't you despicable? Do you really think you can cover the sky with one hand? If you are not convinced, come and fight me. Ben Huang can kill you with one slap." "You." The great elder was so angry that he vomited blood. Jian Wuk walked over and said, "The rules were agreed upon by both sides. Are you going back on your words now?" He could see that the group of people that Lin Xian had brought back were not ordinary. They might be heaven-defying geniuses. Hence they saw hope. "Damn it!" the great elder shouted. Then he said, "The competition will continue. I don't believe that all of them are so powerful." The competition continued. Soon they were in despair. After the second battle, the third, fourth, and even the 10th battle were all one-hit kills. Every single person from the Divine Union could easily kill the people in the river. The 10 battles ended. The Purple Spirit Lake had already been dyed into a sea of blood. The great elder in the river looked ferocious. His heart was bleeding. They had prepared the 10 geniuses carefully. They wanted to make a name for themselves. Now they were all dead. "Damn it, I want you dead." The third elder rushed over in an instant. He stretched out his hand. It was like the palm of a demon god covering the sky. "You dare!" The golden body elder shouted angrily and punched out. His fist and the opponent's palm collided. Countless claps of thunder sounded in the sky. The golden body elder and the third elder both took a step back, their blood boiling. The Crimson Dragon walked over and shouted coldly, "I have given you face. You really dare to come over?" He waved his dragon claw, like a god descending to the mortal world. The third elder was enveloped by his attack. The third elder shouted angrily, "How dare a mere snake fight with me?" He wanted to fight back. However, when the attack came, he was frightened. His body was torn apart, and his soul was shattered. He was dead. An elder was killed with a single palm strike. Countless people were stunned. When the golden body elder looked at the dark red divine dragon, he sucked in a breath of cold air. Even with his all-out attack, he could only fight to a draw with his opponent. But now, with a light wave of his opponent's claw, he could destroy the heavens and earth. These people were too terrifying. It was even more terrifying than they had imagined. The great elder was also roaring crazily. Damn it! Those elders were gnashing their teeth. However, he didn't dare to act rashly because his opponent's origins were too mysterious. Back in the Ice and Snow Palace, those from the Battle King Peak had a drastic change in expression. They knew that this battle could no longer continue. They called back the 10 geniuses, one after another. The Xiantian pavilion was too strange. If they fought again in the future, these people wanted to leave. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a stomp of his foot, the surrounding area collapsed. Countless arrays flickered, enveloping the entire space. "You want to leave now?" It was too late. The competition continued. When these people joined forces to heavily injure Xiantian Pavilion and suppress Xiantian Pavilion, did they not think of stopping? Now that you can't win, you want to leave. There was no such thing in the world. A debt of blood must be repaid with blood. Do you dare to stop us? The expert from the Battle King Peak roared and punched the sky. This punch was like a god of war. The array didn't shake at all and didn't have any effect at all. How could this be? The expert from the Battle King Peak was dumbfounded. What kind of array was this? The people from the Ice and Snow Palace and Long River also attacked, but they were all stopped. Damn it. If you don't let us go, we'll destroy you. The three sects discussed and joined forces to kill the people from the Xiantian Pavilion. Countless people retreated in fear. They had originally come to watch the battle, but the situation was completely out of their expectations. At this moment, they were all hiding far away. What? You don't want to follow the rules? Since you're courting death, don't blame us. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the people from the Divine Union walked out. Their bodies emitted a terrifying aura. The battle erupted in an instant. The people from the Xiantian Pavilion shouted angrily. They were unafraid of death. They had thought that this would be an intense battle. Who would have thought that they wouldn't even need to do anything? The people from the Divine Union were like wolves in a flock of sheep, sweeping everything in their path. On the side of the three sects, people fell one after another. Soon, there weren't many young disciples left. So powerful, the people from the Xiantian Pavilion exclaimed. The faces of the people from the three sects also changed. What kind of power was this? They stared at these people. When they saw Lin Xian, their faces were filled with doubt. They carefully recalled what had happened and gasped. It's you. Aren't you that brat? They recognized Lin Xian. Back then, Lin Xian had fought with the geniuses of the three sections. However, after a long time he hadn't appeared. Therefore, they couldn't recognize him now. However, after carefully recalling, they still understood. Where had he found these experts? Everyone stopped. At this moment, an angry roar was heard. Three figures walked over from afar. When they joined forces, the sky and earth froze. Countless people felt their scalps go numb. A great sage. They hadn't expected a great sage to come. Old ancestor, please avenge us. Old ancestor, kill them and tear them to pieces. Search their souls and take their cultivation techniques and abilities. When the people from the three sects saw the three great sages, they cried. Their losses were too great. The young disciples had all fallen. Only the elders were left. Xiantian Pavilion, you guys are too much. How could you use such cruel methods? The great sage in the river strode over. Under his feet, the river surged. Jian Wu's face was grave. He hadn't expected a great sage to come. However, he wasn't afraid. Justice was in everyone's heart. Everyone knew who was despicable. You don't have to pretend here. Let's fight it out. Just you? The great sage in the river sneered. You are extraordinary and can exchange a few moves with a great sage. However, the true strength of a great sage isn't something you can imagine. Moreover, we three great sages are here. Do you think the Xiantian Pavilion doesn't have any great sages? The golden body elder roared. The great sage in the river laughed heartily. The three of us joined forces because we have Misty Peak and Six Dao Gate behind us. Do you think they won't make a move against you? Your great sages have already been stopped by them. Not good. The expressions of Elder Jian Wu and the others changed. If what the other party said was true, then they were in too much danger. The previous battles were all great sage kings. But now a great sage had appeared. This was completely different. No matter how strong a great sage king was, he couldn't defeat a great sage. Even with Lin Xian's help, it was still impossible. The people watching from afar shook their heads and sighed. There was nothing they could do. The Xiantian Pavilion couldn't defeat the three leaders. This was for sure. The three sects had made sufficient preparations. It wasn't easy for the Xiantian pavilion to last until now. Those below a great sage were all ants. Those people would definitely die. Bai Susu sneered. Were great sages very powerful? She walked over with disdain. Chapter 4961. Those from the Xiantian pavilion were shocked. Could it be that these people wanted to fight against a great sage? That was too heaven-defying. Those from the Divine Union laughed. Bai Susu was equivalent to their senior sister. Her father was an elder of the True Path sect. Her strength was unfathomable. She was much stronger than them. Lin Xian looked at her and asked, "Can you do it?" Bai Susu said, "You're underestimating me. You're not the only one who's improving. My strength has also improved over the years. Today, I'll show you my new ultimate technique." She walked over, facing the great sage in the river fearlessly. Those in the river went crazy. The great sage's face also darkened. Was this little girl courting death? "I'll fulfill your wish." He stretched out a finger and gently pointed forward. Boom! 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 Those from the Xiantian pavilion were shocked. They vomited blood and were sent flying. Even the members of the Divine Union had solemn expressions on their faces. Dozens of figures gathered together to form an array formation to resist. However, Bai Susu sneered. "You're really short-sighted. Haven't you heard of a top genius who can kill a great sage? Lanroa Palm." She stretched out her hand and waved it. A mysterious palm print appeared. Her palm seemed to have turned into the hand of the fairy of the 9 heavens, passing through everything. The two of them collided. The finger of the great sage in the river shattered instantly. His entire arm disappeared. He screamed and retreated. Countless people were shocked. A great sage couldn't even block a single move from a young man? Who exactly was this young man? The long river great sage's pupils shrank. He knew that he had been careless. The other party was an iron plate. Retreat. He retreated. For incarnations appeared around Bai Susu, cutting off the sky. Each incarnation used Lanroa Palm. The great sage couldn't block it at all. His body was torn apart. Not good. The elders in the river went crazy. They looked at the other 2 great sages. They asked the 2 old ancestors to help. The Arctic Great Sage and the War King Great Sage looked cold. Attack. Although the 2 of them usually disdained to attack a junior, they couldn't do so now. They had to be decisive in this critical moment. An unimaginable power erupted from the ice mountain and enveloped Bai Susu. On the other side, a battle sword tore through the 9 heavens, capable of killing gods and devils. With 2 great sages joining the fray, Bai Susu was in grave danger. Nalin Liang and the others' faces also changed. Although Bai Susu was strong, she did not have the strength to fight against 2 great sages. At this critical moment, Lin Xian made his move. He took a step forward and appeared next to Bai Susu. Looking at the 2 great sages, he unleashed 2 palm strikes. Mark of the Lion. A double-headed golden lion rushed over and swept across the sky. Everyone looked up at the starry sky at this moment. They felt despair. What kind of power was this? The 2 great sages wanted to flee, but it was already too late. After being enveloped by the golden lion, their souls were destroyed. Was he dead? Blood rained down from the sky. The elders of the ice and snow palace all knelt on the ground, trembling in fear. The people on the Xiantian pavilion's side were also stunned. Those were 2 great sages, and they were actually killed by Lin Xian with 1 palm. If they did not see it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it even if they were beaten to death. Great Sage Long River's broken body healed. He wanted to counterattack, but when he saw this scene, he was scared out of his wits. He said, "Little friend, please stop. We admit defeat." The people of the 3 major sects knelt on the ground, begging for mercy. He was too strong. Although they could not feel the terrifying aura of the other party, They had already experienced his methods. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and laughed coldly. Now you know how to beg for mercy? It was too late. No, the people of the three major sects raised their heads with despair. Great Sage Long River gritted his teeth and roared, "Don't be too arrogant." He waved his hand and took out a meteor hammer. "I can send you to hell even if I fight with my life on the line. Do you believe it?" "You." Lin Xian laughed coldly. His body swayed, and he used the six-path fist. His fist swung out, creating 6 worlds, and sent the meteor hammer flying. Half of Great Sage Long River's body shattered again. He was trampled to the ground by Lin Xian. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden light that enveloped the other party's soul. The great sage's soul burned, emitting black smoke. He screamed crazily, "No, exalted immortal, please spare me." He was no different from an ant in the other party's hands. Amidst his screams and despair, his soul burned and turned into ashes. Lin Xian collected the other party's soul. Then he waved his hand and dealt with them all. The people of the three major sects still wanted to escape, but they were all dealt with by the people of the Divine Union. A sea of blood surrounded the 9 heavens. The remaining people all knelt down. "Greetings, young master. From now on, we will respect young master and Xiantian Pavilion." "Very good." Lin Xian nodded. He did not care about these families and sections. There was nothing to be afraid of. He wanted to continue attacking. He wanted to uproot the 3 major sections. Jian Wuk and the others' minds were blank. They had never expected Lin Xian to be so powerful. The golden body elder frowned. Although they had destroyed them now, the other party's foundation was still there. Moreover, they had the 6 Dao Gate and Misty Peak behind them. They could not be careless. "No worries." Lin Xian said, "Let's go. I will bring you to destroy their mountain gates and let the 3 major sects become history." Jian Wuk and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. However, he quickly said, "Before that, save our people first." Their great sages were stopped by the people of the 6 Dao Gate and Misty Peak. Lin Xian said, "This is simple. Ruse along, Su, bring people to the river and set up a formation. I will go with Elder Wuk to save the other great sages." Jian Wuk was stunned. "Just the 2 of us?" Lin Xian smiled. "That's enough." The 2 of them soared into the sky and flew into the distance. The void beside Lin Xian flickered with light. The 2 of them traveled through space. They disappeared. In the vast mountains, 5 figures stood facing each other. The 3 of them had cold expressions. They were the great sages of Xiantian Pavilion. As for the other 2, one of them had an ethereal aura. He was the great sage of Misty Peak. The other person had a terrifying aura that seemed to be able to tear the world apart. He was the great sage of the 6 Dao Gate. He had a hexagonal mirror in his hand. He had used the mirror to block the 2 great sages. "Damn it. 6 Dao Gate, Misty Peak, don't you think you are too much? This isn't your territory. Leave quickly." A black-robed great sage of Xiantian Pavilion roared. The great sage of the 6 Dao Gate snorted coldly. "What Xiantian Pavilion? You're just SOO. You dare to protect that kid and spoil the plans of the 6 Dao Gate? This time I will destroy Xiantian Pavilion." The black-robed great sage roared. "Damn it. If not for Lord Xiangtian being unable to come out due to some reasons, you wouldn't have the chance to be so arrogant. Rumor has it that he is very powerful. In reality, it is just a false reputation. If he dares to come out, I will suppress him with one hand." The great sage with the 6 Dao Gate was filled with disdain. The people of Xiantian Pavilion were furious. They would not allow anyone to challenge their pavilion master. Chapter 4962. Kill. The 2 of them charged over. A huge battle erupted, shaking the heavens and earth. After over 100 moves, the two great sages from Xiantian Pavilion retreated. They were injured. Damn it, that mirror of his had the power of reincarnation. Damn it, they could fight against him, but that mirror was extremely mysterious. They couldn't fight against the power of reincarnation. The rebirth realm great sage stood out and laughed coldly. Everything was over. Energy exploded from his body as if he was about to use some kind of ultimate technique. The great sages from Xiantian Pavilion were in despair. This time they were doomed. They probably went to see Wuck and the others in the competition grounds. Did the heavens want to destroy Xiantian Pavilion? In the sky, the hexagonal mirror shone with a mysterious light. It was about to unleash a peerless attack. However, a cold laugh rang out. You used the power of reincarnation to such an extent. What a joke! Is your sixth Tao gate worthy of having the power of reincarnation? Who is it? The great sage's expression changed. Who dares to challenge my sixth Tao gate? It's me. The voice was still far away, but two figures appeared instantly. They tore open the void and stood in the sky. What? The great sages from Xiantian Pavilion were stunned. Is Jian Wuck back? If Wuck is back, does that mean that the others are safe? If that's the case, they can retreat. However, other than Jian Wuck, they didn't see anyone else. They only saw a young man. Who is this young man? They were all stunned. The great sages from Misty Peak and Sixth Tao Gate were stunned too, especially the great sage from Sixth Tao Gate. He looked around warily. Stop hiding and come out. Just the two of them. You don't dare to challenge me. Jian Wuck's expression was very strange. If it was before, he wouldn't have believed it. After all, he believed in Lin Xian's strength. Hence, he smiled coldly. Lin Xian walked out. No need to look. I was the one who said that your use of reincarnation was too trashy. It's you. The great sage from Sixth Tao Gate was stunned. Who are you to be so arrogant? Is your senior hiding at the side? Hurry up and tell him to come out. Otherwise, I will slap you to death. Lin Xian didn't say anything and punched out. He was courting death. The great sage of the Sixth Tao Gate was enraged, but when she felt the punch, her expression changed drastically. Damn it! How could you? He realized that his opponent was actually using the six Tao fists, which was extremely terrifying. In an instant, his body was pierced through and blood splattered everywhere. The great sages of the ethereal peak were stunned. The great sages of the Xiantian Pavilion were equally stunned. Who was this young man? Could he be an extremely terrifying ancestor? Who are you? The great sage of the Six Paths Gate roared madly. Lin Xian coldly snorted and attacked again. The six Tao fists continued to attack, sweeping through heaven and earth. Damn it! That great sage also used the six Tao's fist. The two of them competed. Before long, the great sage from the Six Tao's house coughed up a mouthful of blood and was sent flying backward, his fist shattered. His heart was filled with fear. His opponent's fist art was even more perfect and powerful than his. It was as if his opponent was the true expert of the Six Tao's Gate, and he was an impostor. How could this be? He had been cultivating for thousands of years, but he had never heard of anyone else who could use the Six Tao fist other than the Six Tao Gate. Damn it! This is too strange. I have to hurry back and report this. I have to let the people of the Six Tao's Gate investigate this matter. How could Lin Xian let him leave? The fearless lion seal was used consecutively, and the great beast of the Six Tao's Gate was smashed into pieces. Not good. The great sage of the ethereal peak was so frightened that his scalp went numb. He hurriedly fled. Lin Xian threw out the great destruction spear. Like a demon god, he attacked forcefully and pierced through the great destruction spear. The heavenly secret god eyes appeared and burned the great sages. In the blink of an eye, two great sages had fallen. The three great sages of the Xiantian Pavilion were stunned. What kind of technique was this? Thank you for your help. May I know who you are? To them, The other party should be an ancestor-level figure. Jian Wuk said. Among the supreme elders, he was Lin Xian. Lin Xian. The great sages were stunned. Then their pupils constricted. It's you. How could they forget this name? However, they did not expect him to become so terrifying. Lin Xian said, It was because of me that the Xiantian pavilion fell into such a dangerous situation. Therefore, I am here to destroy the 3 great sections. I will make the Xiantian sect the only overlord of this region. Let's go to the Long River. After saying that, Lin Xian turned around and soared into the sky. When the 3 great sages heard this, they were shocked. Then they sucked in a breath of cold air. Although Lin Xian was strong, the 3 great sects in the Long River had a terrifying foundation. It was not something that 1 or 2 people could shake. They flew forward, wanting to dissuade Lin Xian. However, Jian Wuk said, Great sages, let's just watch. The shock that Lin Gongzi gave us is not limited to this. The 3 great sages sighed. It looked like they could only follow him. If Lin Xian was defeated and was in danger, they would persuade him to return. In the Long River, it was one of the overlords of this region. Outside the sect, there were 81 heavenly rivers circling around. At this moment, Bai Susu, the Crimson Dragon, and the others had already arrived near the heavenly rivers. Looking at the surging rivers, they all took a deep breath. After all, they could not let their guard down when attacking a sect. The Crimson Dragon started to set up the formation. He looked at the 81 surging rivers and laughed. Humph, spirit gathering formation. The Long River is really courting death. Those rivers gathered the spirit veins of the earth. It could be said that the Long River had become a holy land for cultivation. However, it was also because of this that the Crimson Dragon sneered. He only needed to make a slight change, and he could forcefully take away these powers. When the time came, they would give it to Lin Xian. With Lin Xian's trump card, they might not need to do anything to attack the Long River. Indeed, that was what Lin Xian thought as well. By the time he arrived, the array formation of the dark red divine dragon was already half set up. Lin Xian took action. The 2 of them worked together and were even faster. Finally, it was done. Patriarch, you're here. The Golden Body Elder and the others from the Xiantian Pavilion heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the 3 great sages return safely. Then they said, Lin Gongzi is going to attack the Long River. Should we mobilize more experts? The 3 great sages nodded. Indeed, the Xiantian Pavilion would probably have to go all out to attack the Long River. Therefore, they were prepared to mobilize the forces in the sect. However, Lin Xian said no need. I can do it alone. 1 person? The 3 great sages were stunned. 1 person attacking an entire sect? Even if there were formations around, what could they do? As great sages, they could naturally tell. Once this formation was activated, it would seize the power of heaven and earth in the Long River. But what could this power do? This was only for cultivation. It would not be useful in battle. Lin Xian smiled and did not say anything. These people would know soon. Chapter 4963. At the same time, the people in the river also reacted. There were guards guarding the 81 rivers. They saw many people flashing in the distance. Their expressions changed, and they hurriedly reported. The people in the river were shocked. Someone dared to behave atrociously outside their territory. Was he trying to destroy their sect? He was courting death. Who was it? Send him to hell. The 5 elders led the experts in the Long River and came over in a chain. They stood on the 81st river and shouted coldly. Who dared to behave atrociously in our territory? Not good, we were discovered. Jian Wuk and the others were shocked. The 3 great sages also frowned. It was you. The people on the other side frowned when they saw Jian Wuk and the others. Why were you still alive? Wasn't today the day of the final battle? With their combined strength, these people should have died. Could it be that an accident happened? Just as they were puzzled, a figure walked out. Lin Xian rose into the air. The great dragon sword soul surged in his body, and a dragon's shadow appeared in front of him. An extremely terrifying killing intent swept through the surroundings. "Who are you?" Feeling this terrifying aura, the expressions of the people in the river changed. From today onwards, the people in the river would become history. Lin Xian held the dragon-shaped sword shadow, and the array formation beneath his feet activated. The power of the 81 rivers surged and condensed in his hand. "You think you can do it?" The elders in the river sneered. In the next moment, they felt that their protective array formation had changed. They were even more shocked. "You dare to destroy our array formation? Kill him!" With an angry shout, the experts below attacked crazily. The other party was just a young man. With so many of them attacking together, he would definitely die. The great sages in the Xiantian sect were also shocked. They wanted to save him, but they stopped in the next moment. They even became terrified. They realized that there was a terrifying power erupting from where Lin Xian was. Then, a sword light turned into a true dragon and roared. Slash! With a single slash of the sword, the 81 surging rivers instantly evaporated and disappeared. However, this single slash of the sword had become an eternity between heaven and earth. Boom, boom! With a slash of the sword, Elder Changha's divine power laws were all destroyed. The elders were alarmed and wanted to retreat, but it was too late. With a single slash of the sword, they turned into a bloody mist. It wasn't just them. The entire mountain gate was cut in half. Moreover, the sword extended into the distance, and the river began to shake violently. The warriors in the river prostrated themselves on the ground. The elders roared, and even some living fossils in seclusion opened their eyes. The sect master in the river soared into the sky. Sensing all of this, he was stunned. What kind of power was this? It was not something he could withstand. Was it a sacred weapon, or was it an extreme weapon? He didn't know that half of his body had disappeared under the sword. This was the result of him dodging with all his might. The others were not so lucky. A large number of martial artists and elders were turned into ashes. The palaces and towers that filled the sky vanished into thin air. With a single slash, the entire river was split into two. Outside, the people of the Xiantian pavilion went crazy. The three great saints' eyes almost fell out of their sockets. Was this really an attack from a young man? They looked at the sword in the sky with their mouths agape. Was this an extreme weapon? Back then, the might of the 10,000 dragons portrait swept across all directions. At that moment, they also felt the fear of their world being destroyed. Now, Lin Xian's sword had split an overlord sect in half. They thought that it was an extreme weapon. "Stop, don't fight, we'll submit." Two living fossils walked out. They were about the same age as zombies and didn't have much time left. At this moment, they immediately begged for mercy. The sect master in the river also flew over and said, "Who are you? We've never offended you, right?" As he spoke, his eyes were filled with tears. The river had been passed down for a long time and could be considered an overlord sect. But now, it was going to be destroyed in his hands. Even if he went to hell, how would he explain it to his ancestors? When you were enemies with the Xiantian pavilion in the river, did you think that you would end up like this? You secretly colluded with the Ethereal Peak and the Six Paths Gate. Did you think that you would end up like this? Also, who am I? I am the person that the Ethereal Peak and the Six Paths Gate want to kill. I am Lin Wudi. It's you. The sect master in the river's pupils constricted. He naturally wouldn't forget why the Six Paths Gate secretly helped him. It was to let them search for a young man called Lin Xian. But this person in front of him was too terrifying. If he couldn't resolve it, then he would kill him. The two living fossils roared. The laws on their bodies burned, and their withered bodies instantly swelled. Their palms tore the world apart. "Brat, so what if you have an extreme weapon? With your strength, You won't have any strength left after one move." The two of them attacked. Lin Xian sneered. "No strength? You think too highly of yourself." Slash! Another sword. Lin Xian used the power of the sword world and slashed out a peerless sword. The two living fossils were terrifying. How could he still use it? This was completely out of their expectations. The two living fossils were destroyed by a single sword. "I, Long River, am willing to submit." The sect master in the river knelt on the ground and bowed his head. "You're the sect master. I'll give you a quick death. Kill yourself." Lin Xian's cold voice sounded. The sect master was in despair. He burned his life force and disappeared. As for the other people in the river, most of them were destroyed by that sword. Those who were still alive had no power to resist. Lin Xian didn't kill these people. Instead, he left them to the Xiantian pavilion. These people couldn't cause any trouble. Lin Xian landed on the ground. "Ruzalong," he shouted. He wanted to gather the power of the river again, because there was still the Ice Palace and the War King Peak. He couldn't use the power of the sword world without limit. "Brat, there's no need for this sect to exist. Just swallow it." The Crimson Dragon looked around and suggested. Lin Xian nodded. The river was destroyed, but the spirit veins controlled by the river could be used by the Xiantian Pavilion in the future. As for the sect itself, there was no need for it to exist. "I understand." Lin Xian took out the heaven-swallowing jar and swallowed the entire river. In front, a pitch-black vortex appeared. The people of the Xiantian Pavilion were shocked. An overlord sect like them disappeared just like that? There was only an abyss left in front. "Let's go to the Ice Palace." After swallowing the river, Lin Xian had the power to continue to the Ice Palace. The people of the Ice Palace didn't know the situation. When they saw Lin Xian and the others coming, their reaction was the same as that of the Long River sect. They were very disdainful. However, when Lin Xian slashed out with his sword and split the Ice Palace, those people went completely crazy. In the end, the Ice Palace was destroyed. Lin Xian swallowed the Ice Palace as well. He continued to attack the War King Peak. Chapter 4964. 2 of the 3 overlords had already been destroyed. The Battle King Peak had long received the news. They didn't think of escaping. With such means, even if they escaped to the ends of the earth, they would still die. Therefore, the Battle King Peak's sect leader led the entire Battle King Peak to submit. Lin Xian said indifferently, "I'll give you all a chance to kill yourselves. The rest will become battle servants and serve Xiantian Pavilion forever. Agree, and I'll spare your lives. Otherwise, I'll destroy your sect." The Battle King Peak's sect leader closed his eyes. "Okay, we agree." His body burned into ashes, and the other great saints also ended their own lives. As for the others, they were all marked with the seal of life and death. They became battle servants. The 3 overlords would no longer exist. In this area, Xiantian Pavilion was the only overlord. The commotion here had long spread, causing countless people to be shocked and terrified. There were no more 4 overlords, only Xiantian Pavilion. When they returned to Xiantian Pavilion, Jianwak and the others were still in a daze. When the people of Xiantian Pavilion received the news, they couldn't believe it. In just a few days, the other 3 sects had vanished into thin air. What a joke! One had to know that they were suppressed by the 3 sects and almost collapsed. However, when they sent people to investigate, they discovered that the 3 sects really didn't exist anymore. Was this really Lin Gongzi's doing? They came back to their senses and looked at Lin Xian. They felt grateful. "Thank you, Lin Gongzi, for saving them." Even the Grand Elders bowed. "Thank you for saving Xiantian Pavilion from danger." Lin Xian said, "Seniors, you don't have to be so polite. After all, this matter started because of me. Of course, I can't sit back and do nothing. But now, No one in this area dared to challenge Xiantian Pavilion's position as the overlord anymore. The Grand Elder walked out and bowed. Then he said, Lin Gongzi, how do you plan to distribute the resources left behind by the three overlords? Although they knew that Lin Xian couldn't stay here for too long, it was very likely that it would all be theirs. However, they still had to ask for Lin Xian's opinion in advance. Although Lin Xian was a young man, his status was extraordinary. Even their pavilion master would not dare to be careless in front of him. They had to treat him as a godlike figure. What do you think? Lin Xian asked. The great sages conversed with each other. At this moment, Lin Xian once again said, How about this? The resources of the three great sects will be split in half. One half will be given to you, and the Xiantian Pavilion will allow you to develop. The other part will be left behind. I plan to build a temporary palace. Sure, these elders didn't dare to have any objections, but they were puzzled. What palace? Lin Xian said that before I came to the buried Emperor Star, I used to belong to Peerless City. Later on, Peerless City had a great battle and was forced to close its doors. Now I want to bring it back to the world. Upon hearing that, Fu Hongya, Lu Yuan, and Shangguan Xiaoxian's eyes reddened. That's great. Their Peerless City can finally reappear. I wonder if Master will be happy when he finds out? We naturally don't have any objections. The people of the Xiantian Pavilion laughed. Jian Wuk said, Let us help you build the temporary palace. This was a big project. All right. Lin Xian nodded and said, Xiaoxian, you stay here and take charge of the following matters. Yes, Martial Uncle. Shangguan Xiaoxian also walked out happily. Next, Lin Xian told everyone to rest. He said, I want to see the pavilion master. Lin Gongzi, please come this way. The Grand Elder led Lin Xian into the depths of the Xiantian Pavilion. After arriving at the forbidden area, the Grand Elder reported, after about half an incense stick's worth of time, a low voice sounded. The Grand Elder said, That's enough. Lin Xian followed him. There was a cave in front of them. It was abnormally simple and unadorned. Inside was the legendary pavilion master. However, he had never seen him before. After the Grand Elder left, only Lin Xian remained. The surroundings were terrifyingly quiet. Lin Xian cupped his fists and said, Greetings, Senior Xiangtian. You're here again. The low voice sounded. Could it be that there's news of prolonging life? Lin Xian said, That's right. I found a way and am preparing to return to the quintessential world. Senior, would you like to go with me? Really? Xiangtian was stunned. Then he looked up to the sky and laughed. The 9 heavens were shaking. The heavens had eyes. The people of the Xiantian Pavilion were shocked. It was the pavilion master's laughter. They all thought that the pavilion master laughed because the 3 sects were destroyed. Of course, only Lin Xian and Xiangtian knew the truth. In the cave, Xiangtian stopped laughing and said, Little guy, well done. However, I can't go to the quintessential world with you. I have to stay here. Say hello to Master for me. Xiajuo was actually his master. Lin Xian was shocked. At the same time, he was even more shocked that Xiajuo was guarding here. What was he guarding? Was it the Xiantian Pavilion? Senior, are you worried about the 3 sects? Senior, you can rest assured. The 3 sects no longer exist. Xiangtian smiled and said, Did you make a move? That's good too. If I wasn't suppressed here and couldn't go out, the 3 sects wouldn't be so arrogant in front of me. Xiangtian snorted coldly with disdain in his voice. Lin Xian was even more curious. It seemed that Xiangtian didn't put the 3 sects in his eyes at all. Could it be that they couldn't come out? Was there another reason? Thinking of this, his eyes were filled with curiosity. A trace of golden light swept across as he looked ahead. The next moment, he seemed to have forgotten to look through the ground. There, he saw a hazy figure sitting cross-legged. Below the figure, there was a crack like a canyon. There seemed to be black qi flying out of the crack. However, it was suppressed by the figure. Roar. In a trance. Lin Xian seemed to hear a roar that made his blood boil. He suddenly retracted his gaze. In front of him, Xiang Tian also said, "Little guy, this is not a place that you can explore. Hurry up and leave." Lin Xian left, and he was even more confused. That figure was definitely Xiang Tian, but what exactly was inside the canyon that he was suppressing? Why was it so terrifying? All of this was a mystery. After returning, Lin Xian took a deep breath and stopped thinking about it. Instead, he focused on cultivating. This time, he used the great dragon sword soul, and the situation was much better than before. After all, he was using external forces. He only needed to withstand a little pressure. Every time he used it, Lin Xian's body would become stronger and stronger. Now that he had been baptized by the divine spring of life, his body would become even stronger. With the baptism of the divine spring, his physique became even stronger. An ordinary great sage in the early stage couldn't break through his defense at all. However, he knew that it was not enough. After all, he had to compete with the emperor. He had seen the incarnation of the Dragon Prince. Just the incarnation was already so terrifying. The real body would only be more terrifying. Although he was injured this time, it wouldn't take long for him to recover or even reach a higher level, so he was still under a lot of pressure. Chapter 49-65. After resting for another 3 days, everyone was ready to set off. Shangguan Shaoxian stayed behind to build her palace, Wushuang City. As for the others, they followed Lin Xian to set off. Their target this time was Ethereal Peak. He wanted to return to Ethereal Peak and Thousand Mountain Paradise. Thinking of the paradise, Fu Hongye and the others gritted their teeth. When they arrived, they were suppressed and became battle slaves in the Sixth Paradise. If not for Lin Xian, they might not have been able to make a comeback. When they returned this time, they would definitely take revenge. Ethereal Peak. Clouds surrounded it, making it look extremely mysterious. During this period of time, Ethereal Peak had been developing well. Some of the genius disciples in the sect had increased their strength greatly. More importantly, no one dared to challenge their position. At the same time, there were many genius disciples in the Sixth Paradise. After being taken in, Ethereal Peak became even stronger. Everything showed that Ethereal Peak was getting stronger. As for the young man who had challenged them back then, he was probably dead outside. How is the situation at Xiantian Pavilion? In Ethereal Peak, an elder of the star race asked in a deep voice. There hasn't been any news for such a long time. Could something have happened? His subordinate shook his head. There hasn't been any news yet. But soon he smiled and said, "Elder, don't worry. Once the 3 sects take action, Xiantian Pavilion won't be able to do anything. Furthermore, Ethereal Peak and 6 Dao sect are behind this. Xiantian Pavilion will definitely die." Another woman snorted coldly. He deserved it. Who asked him to help that Lin brat? But it's a pity that I don't know where that brat is. If I see him, I'll personally tear him into pieces. The buried Emperor Star is so big and there are countless dangers. He came from another world. How could he have lived for so long? He probably died in some mountain range. The elder of the star race nodded his head and sighed. It's a pity for Xueqi. She was a good seedling. She could have entered Ethereal Peak. Is there no news about her? His 3 subordinates shook their heads. Old Zhang, these are the offerings from the Sixth Paradise. Among them, Thousand Mountain Paradise has the most. Another young genius walked over and handed a scroll to the old man in front of him. The old man took a look at it and nodded slightly. The Thousand Mountains Grotto should be under the control of forefather Sheng Tian's branch now. That's right. Black Ice ancestors, people were related to that brat surnamed Lin. Not killing him was already a blessing. However, they were currently being suppressed so much that they had to use the resources of their bloodline to pay tribute. That was why Patriarch Heaven Conqueror was willing to part with them. The Elder of the Star tribe nodded his head. After that, he did not pay any more attention to him. It was just 6 grotto heavens. He would not interfere in the fights between them. All he had to do was ensure that no one dared to challenge Ethereal Peak's position. The 1,000-mountain grotto heaven was surrounded by endless mountains. At this moment, the 1,000-mountain cave did not seem to have changed much, but everyone knew that the heavenly mountain cave had changed. Black Ice Ancestor and her people had offended Misty Peak, which was equivalent to falling into the 18th level of hell and never being able to rise again. The people of this bloodline were suppressed every day. There were even many people who were mercilessly killed outside. Even the Dark Nether Ancestor had been poisoned. The poison of the Holy Heavens Ancestor definitely had something to do with Misty Peak. "Father, how are you today?" I asked someone to find a batch of healing pills. Xian Hai walked over and asked anxiously, "Don't waste your energy. There is no cure for this poison." An old man shook his head. If others saw this, they would definitely be shocked. This old man was extremely skinny, like a skeleton. His hair was snow white and his eyes were empty. There was a black mark on his body. It was this poison that almost took his life. The middle-aged man beside him was pale. He said, "Father, don't be discouraged. There must be a way." But Xian Hai shook his head. "It's useless. They are punishing me. I am warning everyone of the consequences of offending Misty Peak. If they wanted to kill me, they would have done it long ago." The skinny old man laughed bitterly. Xian Hai gritted his teeth. "Damn it. It's all because of that brat." Thinking of that young man, he gritted his teeth. If not for him, how would we have ended up like this? Black Ice Ancestor sighed. "Forget it. Let's not talk about it anymore. The only fortunate thing is that Chi had left long ago. This way, she would not be harmed by Ming Feng. I just hope that she never comes back." Outside 1,000 Mountain Grotto, a group of people flew over from afar. They stopped in the void. He was back again, standing on the spirit vessel. Lin Xian looked ahead and lamented. Back then, they had gone through countless hardships and lost many experts to break through the shackles of true spirit world and come to buried Emperor Star. They had thought that they were like carps leaping over the dragon's gate. From then on, the sky was high and the road was long. But who would have thought that as soon as they came to buried Emperor Star, they would be hunted down by the grotto heavens. Many of them were even hunted down and became prisoners. As a result, their fellow disciples in Peerless City could only become homeless. Even now, Peerless Sage King and Linghu Chueshua's whereabouts were unknown. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. Fu Hongye, Lu Yuan, and the others were also gritting their teeth. They had all been suppressed before, but now they were different. Previously, they were like ants. Facing the 6 great grotto heavens, they felt that they were invincible. But now, they had returned powerfully and stood at the peak. With a stomp of their feet, the entire 6 great grotto heavens would tremble. "Let's go and meet our old friends." Lin Xian's figure descended, and the group followed closely. At the same time, in the territory of the grotto heavens, Xian Hai roared angrily. "Damn it! Did old ancestor Xingtian send people again?" "Yan Mo, don't go too far." In front of them, there was a middle-aged man with a monstrous, demonic aura. He sneered. "What can you do to me if I go too far? It's already a great blessing that you're alive. Let me see how senior Xianbing's injuries are." Then he waved his hand. The experts behind him walked over one after another. Xian Hai roared and stopped him. The other party was not here to take care of them, but to use poison. Every month, the other party would come and use poison. Then, Black Ice Ancestor would fall to the ground, half dead. But then the other party laughed and left. Now it was the same day again. How could Xian Hai let them enter? Yan Mo shouted coldly, "Do you really think you're still the same person? Back then you could fight against me, but now you can't. Attack!" The number of people he brought with him was 10 times more than the other party. In an instant, Xian Hai and the others were severely injured. They spat out mouthfuls of blood, but they still guarded the entrance of the hall. "If you want to enter, you'll have to step over my dead body. I didn't expect you to have such a backbone." Yan Mo snorted. "But do you think I don't dare to kill you?" His eyes were filled with killing intent. Chapter 4966. At the entrance of the 1,000 Mountain Cave, the array flickered, indicating that it was under attack. Who dared to behave atrociously in the 1,000 Mountain Cave? Countless guards walked out, their killing intent soaring into the sky. It had been a long time since anyone dared to behave atrociously here. Was there someone who dared to behave atrociously here again? Seeing that there were so many people, the guard's expression changed. He asked, "Which sect are you from? Do you have a visiting card? Why, does the 1,000 Mountain Cave not recognize me anymore?" Lin Xian sneered and walked over. The guards were confused, but one of them narrowed his eyes. "It's you. You didn't die. You're back." It was as if he had seen the most terrifying thing. This young man had caused a huge storm back then, but he had only entered the ethereal peak. Now he was back. One could only imagine what kind of storm was going to happen next. Who was he? The other guards were confused. Was this young man very scary? The guard wanted to say something, but his scalp went numb in the next moment. The others' eyes popped out. They saw the young man in front of them waving his hand, and their protective array was torn apart like a piece of paper. The entire process was smooth and there was no pause at all. What kind of power was that? Perhaps only their old ancestor could do that. Thinking of this, these guards sat down on the ground, their faces full of shock. Lin Xian ignored them. A golden glow appeared in his eyes. Then he squinted his eyes. His body flashed, and he flew in a direction. In the hall in front, there were many people around. Blood dyed the sky red, and the cries made one's scalp go numb. Yan Mo sneered and looked at Xian Hai, who was kneeling on one knee, and said coldly, "Do you still dare to go against me?" "Damn it!" Xian Hai gritted his teeth. He was unwilling to accept this. "All right, what are your last words? You can go to hell now." Yan Mo pulled out a killing sword and walked over. "After so many years, I didn't expect you to be in such a sorry state." At the critical moment, a calm voice sounded. Xian Hai raised his head in shock. "Is someone here to save us?" Yan Mo's face darkened. "Who is it? Come out." With a cold shout, he swept his gaze in all directions. The guards in the surroundings also extended their souls to search for the person. "There's no need to search, because I didn't intend to hide." The voice sounded again as a figure walked over. "Who are you?" The surrounding sages roared. Yan Mo was stunned. Xian Hai's pupils shrank. It was him. How could he forget this person? It was precisely because of this person that her daughter had disappeared and her entire bloodline had become prisoners. "Despicable brat, you still dare to come back?" He let out an animalistic roar. "Who's back?" Was it Chia? An old voice came from the main hall. It was intermittent and extremely agitated. He could die at any moment. Lin Xian's brows furrowed even tighter when he heard this. His aura was too weak. Xian Hai said that his father was Lin Xian. He had returned. What? Lin Xian? You're Lin Xian. The surrounding guards also roared crazily. They were well aware that their 1,000 Mountain Cave was currently weaker than the other 5 great caves. There were many reasons. It was because a Lin Xian had appeared in their cave and dared to challenge Ethereal Peak. Was it this brat in front of them? "Brat, you still dare to come back? I'll capture you and send you to Ethereal Peak. Then Our Thousand Mountain Cave will have done a great service. At that time, our status will be restored. Yan Emo smiled. He was very happy. Just you? Lin Xian snorted coldly. At this moment, dozens of streams of light streaked across the distance and instantly arrived behind Lin Xian, forming a huge team. Xian Hai was stunned. He didn't expect Lin Xian to bring so many people back. Yan Emo laughed. Ha 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 ha, brat. Do you think you can compete with me just because you brought people here? He could tell that the people around him were all young people. How strong could a group of young people be? Back then, Lin Xian could escape because of Xiantian Pavilion's help. But what about Xiantian Pavilion now? He knew very well that Xiantian Pavilion probably didn't exist anymore. Without the Xiantian Pavilion as a trump card, would Lin Xian be able to contend against them? Young man, I don't know where you get your courage from. You probably didn't go to Xiantian Pavilion, right? You have no trump card left. Kneel down obediently, and I'll suppress you. Sure. Let's see if you have the qualifications. Lin Xian walked over without any defense. I'll give you 3 chances. Can you suppress me? I'll give you my head. Stupid ant. Do you think you can be arrogant after training outside for a period of time? Do you know that my strength has increased during this period of time as well? Yan Emo roared and slapped over. His killing intent was shocking. This attack was enough to destroy any young genius. Clang! A deafening sound rang out, causing the ears of the surrounding people to bleed. A figure suddenly retreated. Damn it, what a strong physique! Yan Emo clutched his palm with an ugly expression. Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back. This is your improvement over the years. Huh? You're pitifully weak. Ant. Toad sneered. The people from the Divine Union were also mocking him. You want to fight against our boss with this kind of strength? Stop joking. Damn it, you're underestimating me. Yan Emo roared and threw out 2 consecutive punches that were like peerless suns. Boom! Boom! The sky fell and the earth cracked. He should be dead this time. The martial artists from Xiantian Pavilion snorted coldly. Xian Hai frowned. This brat is courting death, as always. He had actually angered Yan Emo. Lin Xian's figure appeared from the crack in the void. His body was spotless, and he wasn't injured at all. 3 punches are over. I've given you a chance, but you don't have the strength to suppress me. Now take my move. After 1 palm, all grievances were resolved. Bang! Lin Xian slapped over. He didn't even use the fearless lion seal or the 6 path fists. He only relied on the strength of his divine body. No. Yan Emo was terrified. His 3 punches couldn't hurt the other party. What kind of physique was this? Could it be that this brat had some fortuitous encounter outside? Damn it, he had been too careless. Especially when he felt the power of that palm strike, he was even more alarmed. He was invincible. This made him feel like he was facing an old ancestor. He quickly retreated. Mysterious runes flashed under his feet and brought him away in an instant. He dodged the palm by a hair's breadth. Only a few gusts of wind swept across his body. Ha 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 ha! Yan Emo was furious. Brat, I thought you were amazing. You can't hit me either? As soon as he finished speaking, he roared in horror. No, it can't be like this. His body shattered like porcelain and then spread throughout his body. With a crack, he turned into a bloody mist. How can this be? His soul was also torn apart by a terrifying force. Stupid thing. Lin Xian shook his head. Do you think you can resist my palm wind? Chapter 4967. Dead. Xian Hai's face was pale, and his body was trembling. Just a palm strike was enough to kill Yan Emo. What kind of power was that? That was the power of a great sage. Could it be that this kid had already become a great sage? Yan Mo was dead, and the surrounding guards were in an uproar. Kid, you're dead. The sagely heavens, old master, won't let you off. Let's go and report this to the old master. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the golden light turned into a divine sword, piercing through the hundreds of guards. All of them fell on the ground. Xian Hai was even more terrified. He had killed a group of experts with just a raise of his hand. It was too scary. Lin Xian was no longer the person he knew. You're really pitiful. Lin Xian took a step forward and came before Xian Hai. He looked down at the other party and said indifferently. Xian Hai knelt on one knee, holding his wound and looking up. When he saw Lin Xian's eyes, he felt like an ant talking to a dragon. Unable to withstand the pressure from Lin Xian, Xian Hai spat out blood and fell into the main hall. Lin Xian stepped into the main hall, and he frowned. He saw a skeleton-like figure in front of him. Your old master, Xian Hai. He couldn't believe that a great sage could be in such a pitiful state. Black Ice Old Master raised his head. When he saw Lin Xian, he was shocked. He wanted to stand up, but his bones were shaking and he couldn't. At a glance, Lin Xian saw a black handprint on the man's body. It was obvious that he had been poisoned. You should kill the Yin Devil, Black Ice Ancestor said. You are in big trouble. The current 1,000-mountain grotto heaven belongs to forefather Sheng Tian. They have Ethereal Peak behind them. I heard that they've taken action against Xiantian Pavilion. You have no more trump cards. Leave quickly. At the same time, if you know where Cheer is, tell her to never come back. Lin Xian listened expressionlessly, but the people behind him had weird expressions. Xiantian Pavilion no longer existed? It seemed like the news hadn't reached them yet. As for Thousand Mountain Cave, they were even more fearless. This time he was here for revenge. Lin Xian said that he was here for revenge, so he would not let any of the people who tried to kill him go. As for the two of you, Xueqi's father and grandfather, I will spare you and not harm you. However, it is impossible for me to help you. Patriarch Xian Hai laughed bitterly. He did not believe the other party's words. However, Xian Hai's pupils shrank. He ran over and said, Young master, save my father. I know you have a way. Previously, he had been dismissive of Lin Xian. However, when he saw Lin Xian kill the face devil with just a palm wind, he was shocked. He knew that the young man in front of him was a completely different person from back then. The other party's methods might be able to save his father. Lin Xian remained unmoved. Xian Hai directly knelt down and said, For Cheer's sake, please help. Lin Xian frowned slightly and sighed. After all, this was Xueqi's flesh and blood. However, Lin Xian still had his principles. He said, If you want me to help, I can help. However, I have to collect your souls first. I have to see if you are related to the human world. If they were related to the human world, he would not harm them for Xueqi's sake, nor would he save them. He would let the two of them fend for themselves. However, if they were not related, he could help them. Everything is for your sake. Lin Xian thought to himself. Then a golden radiance burst out from his eyes and enveloped the two people's souls. Xian Hai wanted to resist, but Patriarch Xianming said, Don't resist. Xian Hai knelt there and allowed Patriarch Xianming to read his soul. Lin Xian's expression was grave. After a while, he retracted his gaze. The two of them were nervous. Lin Xian said, You are lucky that you are not related to the human world. Black Ice Ancestor smiled bitterly. The human world's power originated from Misty Peak and was then distributed among the 6 grotto heavens. Back then, it was obtained by Patriarch Sheng Tian's lineage. It was an extremely powerful assassination force. Because of this, they were jealous of it for a long time. They did not expect that it was because of this that they were saved. The affairs of the world were really unpredictable. Lin Xian waved his hand, and a terrifying sword was slashed at the black handprint. The great dragon sword spirit was destroyed, and all auras were destroyed. The black poison on the handprint quickly disappeared. Black Ice Ancestor felt that his power was recovering. Did he succeed? Was he cured? She was really shocked. Xian Hai cried tears of joy. He had thought of many ways, but his father's condition did not improve at all. Now, Lin Xian cured his father's poison with just a ray of sword energy. This method was too shocking. Black Ice Ancestor stood up. Although she was weak, she was fine. She said, "Thank you, Lin Gongzi, for helping me. In the future, I will not refuse you. At the same time, we apologize for what happened in the past. I hope that you will let us go for the sake of Cheer." Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and said, "It was good to recover and be a wild crane." Patriarch Xian Hai's body trembled. Originally, he wanted to regroup and fight with Patriarch Shengtian, but now it seemed that Lin Xian Hai did not want him to care about anything anymore. Just as he was thinking, a crazy roar sounded in a hall of the 1,000-mountain grotto heaven. Patriarch Shengtian looked at the soul jade tablet in his hand with red eyes. His son's soul jade tablet was broken, indicating that he was killed. Who dared to attack the Yen Mo? Where did the Yen Mo go? He roared crazily. Patriarch Shengtian went to Black Ice Ancestor's residence. "That old thing? How dare you attack my son? Go to hell." He was furious. Without caring about anything else, he slapped out with a huge palm that covered tens of thousands of miles. The void shattered and countless people crawled. Xian Hai's face changed drastically. Not good, the great sage had attacked. Black Ice Ancestor's pupils constricted. The Patriarch Shengtian had attacked again. Retreat. He had just been detoxified and was no match for the other party. If he was hit, his soul might be destroyed. She and Xian Hai retreated quickly, but when they left the hall, her pupils constricted. She saw Lin Xian standing there with a look of disdain. Lin Xian threw out a punch in the face of this frightening palm. The six-path fist shattered the heavenly domain and shattered the huge palm. A pillar of light surged into the clouds, and countless laws danced in the sky. Was it broken? Black Ice Ancestor was stunned. She could not believe it. That was the attack of a great sage. Previously, the other party could kill the Yen Mo because the Yen Mo was only a great sage. Compared to a great sage, he was still too weak. Now, it seemed that Lin Xian could fight a great sage so easily. This person's strength had already exceeded his imagination. He took a deep breath and laughed bitterly. It was better not to have any tricks in front of the other party. He said to Xian Hai, "From now on, we will be two itinerant cultivators." Xian Hai nodded silently. His confidence had already been shattered. Right now, he just wanted to escape from this place and live in the remote mountains and swamps. Damn it. Patriarch Shengtian roared crazily. Who could block his attack? Other than Black Ice Ancestor, there was no one else. Maybe Black Ice Ancestor was poisoned and injured? How could she have the strength to attack him? Chapter 4968. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor's face turned cold as he attacked again. He tore open the sky and descended quickly. At the next moment, he stood above the 9 heavens and saw a figure. "It's you. How dare you come back? Where are the people from the Xiantian pavilion? Tell them to come out." The Holy Heaven's old ancestor frowned. In his opinion, the one who had attacked him wasn't the young man in front of him, but the Xiantian pavilion behind him. However, the Xiantian pavilion shouldn't have been destroyed at this time. Could it be that some of them had escaped? Lin Xian looked at the Holy Heaven's old ancestor and said coldly, "After so many years, you still haven't made any progress." The people around felt their scalps go numb. Was this the attitude a young man should have towards the old ancestor? The Holy Heaven's old ancestor's face turned dark. "Since they won't come out, I'll suppress you personally." He waved his hand, and a terrifying long blade appeared in his hand. He slashed downwards. The dazzling blade light was unimaginable. This blade seemed to be able to sweep through everything. Fortunately, it was only aimed at Lin Xian. If it had slashed anywhere else, the entire grotto heaven would have been split open. Lin Xian wasn't afraid. He stretched out his hand and grabbed at the blade. Was he going to resist this peerless attack with his bare hands? Many people went crazy. The holy heaven's old ancestor was even more disdainful. Did this young man really think he was a god? Clang! An earth-shattering sound was heard. The blade slashed down on the palm, and countless thunderous sounds were heard. Then it was caught. How was this possible? The holy heaven's old ancestor couldn't believe it. Lin Xian let out a furious roar and shattered the blade light right away. He charged forward forcefully. "Take a sword from me too." Behind him, a dragon flickered and turned into a sword dragon. Countless dragon scales condensed into a sword light. Lin Xian held it in his hand. The sword split the world. One of the holy heaven's old ancestors' arms was chopped off. "How did you become so strong?" He roared crazily. His opponent was only a sage king, but he could compete with him and even suppress him. This kid was too strange. He wanted to retreat. Lin Xian struck out with his palm. The seal of the fearless lion flew out. Damn it, he's too arrogant. The holy heaven's old ancestor was infuriated. He had retreated, but it didn't mean that he was afraid of the other party. He just didn't want to suffer any losses. Since the other party wanted to die, he would fulfill his wish. With a wave of his hands, a saintly heaven steel appeared. It's just the mark of a demonic beast. Suppress it. The sage, heaven, steel pressed down on the golden lion. The fearless lion roared with disdain. It danced and tore the sage heaven steel apart before pouncing towards the sage heaven old ancestor. Oh no, what kind of lion is this? It was too scary. The sacred heaven's old ancestor was scared out of his wits. He was enveloped by a golden light, and his body was torn to pieces. His soul was slapped to the ground by the fearless lion. Was the patriarch defeated? The surrounding people from the 1,000-mountain cave trembled when they saw this. Then they all knelt on the ground. "Damn it, let go of me." The holy heaven's old ancestor's soul roared, but he couldn't resist the fearless lion. And this was because Lin Xian had purposely not killed him. Otherwise, his body and soul would have been destroyed long ago. The sagely heaven's old ancestor roared, "I am not dead yet. Inform Ethereal Peak and activate our foundation." He was really angry. He didn't believe that Lin Xian would dare to kill him. Soon, people retreated quickly. Some of them soared into the sky, preparing to inform the Ethereal Peak experts. The other part was to activate the so-called foundation. Ruse along, kill those who escaped. Lin Xian transmitted his voice. The crimson dragon's figure flashed, and the dragon scales on his back turned into a dragon blade that slashed towards the 9 heavens. Those who tried to escape were all killed. But as for those who activated their foundation, Lin Xian didn't stop them at all. Black Ice Ancestor was also shocked. Fortunately, she had already submitted and didn't dare to go against Lin Xian. Otherwise, she would probably end up in such a miserable state. She took a deep breath. Lin Gongzi's foundation isn't ordinary, so it's best not to activate it. Otherwise, it will be very troublesome. Lin Xian said, "Is the foundation the power of the mortal world?" Black Ice Ancestor nodded helplessly. Lin Xian was a killing god who could kill great saints of the same level like cutting vegetables. That's even better. I'm here to deal with the mortal world. Just you? The sacred heaven ancestors. Soul sneered. You can't even block a finger. You'll die soon. The earth trembled, and a shocking killing intent emerged. Then it was as if the god of death had descended. Even the people of the divine union felt their hair stand on end. It seemed like an incredible assassin had awakened. 3 figures were hidden in black robes, holding 3 killing swords in their hands. They disappeared in an instant, appearing and disappearing mysteriously. Wang! Cold laughter rang out, and with a flash of sword light, the fearless lion was split in half. The sacred heaven ancestor's soul was able to escape. He fled into the distance, roaring crazily. "Kid, let's see how you'll die." Lin Xian frowned. This was indeed an ancient assassin. He was indeed valiant. His figure flashed, and he took out the heaven-devouring jar and shook it gently. A boundless black vortex enveloped the Crimson Dragon and the people of the Divine Union. He wasn't afraid, but he was afraid that these people would attack the people of the Divine Union. Black vortexes appeared beside by Susu and the others, swallowing everything. Indeed, as soon as this was done, sword light slashed toward the Crimson Dragon and by Susu. Fortunately, the black vortex swallowed the sword light directly. What a strange devouring vortex. Let's get rid of this kid first. The 3 ancient assassins discussed for a while, then charged toward Lin Xian. When these people attacked, even great sages would feel their hair stand on end. The power was extremely terrifying. At this moment, everyone was worried for Lin Xian. The space where Lin Xian was instantly shattered. Countless clanging sounds came from his body, and there were even sword scars appearing on some parts of his body. They were indeed ancient assassins. They were indeed strong enough to threaten him. He roared, and his divine body completely erupted. Divine flames swept out, burning heaven and earth. The entire void shattered, and 3 blurry figures appeared. They tore through the void and retreated into the distance. Lin Xian threw out the 6-path fists and chased after them, attacking one of them. That person swung his sword back like a dragon. The 2 of them collided, and then they both retreated. Fresh blood dripped from the void. Lin Xian sneered. "That's all there is to it. What a strong physique. You actually managed to injure me. However, today is the day you die," the injured assassin said coldly. Then he disappeared again. Heaven and earth quietened down. Even the killing intent was gone. The Crimson Dragon and the others were extremely nervous. This was the most dangerous situation. If they could even hide their killing intent, who would be able to discover them? Lin Xian seemed to be at his wit's end. However, a golden radiance flickered in his eyes. His divine eyes looked at heaven and earth, burning the world. Lin Xian's heavenly secret god eyes swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. His soul flame floated out. In the void, a roar was heard. A figure, whose body was on fire, looked extremely ferocious. "Damn it, it's a soul attack. Kill him." He let out a miserable cry. The other 2 rushed over without a care for anything else. Chapter 4969. It was a sure kill sword. It seemed to have traveled through time and space, arriving in front of Lin Xian and slashing down on Lin Xian's body. The 2 swords slashed at the same spot and actually split open Lin Xian's body. The 10,000 dragon divine blood fell. However, the 2 swords were still held by Lin Xian. "This time, you won't be able to escape." Endless sword light burst out from his body. The sharpness of the sword energy was even more terrifying than the 2 swords. The 2 of them were instantly pierced and screamed as they retreated. They realized that their wounds couldn't heal. "Damn it, who are you? When did the 1,000 mountain grotto heaven offend such a terrifying existence?" They looked at the sacred heaven's old ancestor. The sacred heaven's old ancestor's face was extremely pale. He was originally proud and thought that the other party would definitely die after summoning the world of men. However, that was not the case at all. Even the 3 assassins couldn't do anything to the other party. Leave this place. This kid is too terrifying." He's not someone you and I can fight against. Super physique, terrifying eye techniques, and that black jar. It was very similar to the legendary Heaven swallowing jar. In addition, his sword energy was extremely sharp. It was definitely a supreme Dharma treasure. How could such a person appear in this area? The other party should be in the more terrifying ancient city and family. Why would he come to such a remote place? As expected of the world of men. You're really knowledgeable. You even recognize my body. Since that's the case, it's not up to you. Lin Xian attacked. They split up and fled. The three from the world of men flew in 3 different directions. He didn't believe that Lin Xian could kill all 3 of them at the same time. Lin Xian sneered and threw out the heaven swallowing jar and the dragon's sword soul at one of them. Then he attacked the 3rd person. How could those 2 be a match for the heaven swallowing jar and the dragon's sword soul? They were instantly killed. As for the 3rd person, he exchanged 30 moves with Lin Xian and was torn in half by Lin Xian. Was he dead? The 3 of them were about to die. The sacred heaven's old ancestor was so scared that his face turned pale. He turned and fled. Lin Xian waved his hand and grabbed the sacred heaven's old ancestor's soul. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? Young master, please spare me. It was all Misty Peak's idea. I was really helpless and had no choice. Now, in order to save his life, he poured all the dirty water on Misty Peak. What a good! I can't help it. You're really shameless. Lin Xian sneered, unmoved. He wouldn't let him live, so he directly ignited his soul. In the end, old ancestor Sheng Tian also died. At this moment, nearly half of the warriors in the 1,000 Mountain Cave were kneeling on the ground. Had their ancestor died? Lin Xian turned around and looked down from above like a god overlooking the mortals. As the flames swept past these people, the souls of a few of them directly burned and turned into ashes. These were all old ancestor Sheng Tian's trusted aides. As for the Holy Heaven's ancestors' people, they had all been killed by him. In an instant, the entire Grotto Heaven. The situation had changed drastically. Black Ice Ancestor and Xian Hai immediately bowed their heads. From now on, the 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven will be ruled by the young master. The others also bowed to Lin Xian and paid their respects to the young master. Lin Xian waved his hand. From now on, there would be no 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven, only Wushuang City. Not only the Heavenly Mountain Grotto Heaven, but the other 5 Grotto Heavens would also cease to exist. Even Misty Peak, I will overturn it. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. Countless people were shocked. Would the Grotto Heaven cease to exist? To be honest, although 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven was inconspicuous in the entire Alcade continent, in this area, it was second only to Misty Peak. Now that it no longer existed, it was really hard for these people to imagine. But the young man in front of them was like a god, and no one dared to resist. They could only accept this fact. Yuren, I'll leave this to you. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Yuren walked out. Young master, don't worry. Lin Xian looked at Black Ice Ancestor again. I will go to the other Grotto Heavens. In the meantime, I don't want anything to happen to 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven. Young master, don't worry. This old man understands. Black Ice Ancestor walked out and said loudly. Now that the sect was sealed, no news was allowed to spread out. Anyone who violated this rule would be punished according to the sect rules. As for the others, they naturally did not have any objections. After all, one of the 2 old masters was dead. Now that there was only one left, they naturally did not dare to resist. Lin Xian led the others and left quickly. Go, 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 take revenge. Previously, they had become battle servants. But now, it was just 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven. The other Grotto Heavens would have to bear their wrath as well. Purple Spirit Grotto Heaven. Fu Hongya would never forget the torture he had gone through here. Therefore, he challenged them forcefully the moment he arrived. This was especially so for the young men under the Great Elder. All of them were crippled by Fu Hongye. The great elder roared, but was killed by Lin Xian in a single slap. Not only that, the same scene was happening in the other grotto heavens. Everyone in the grotto heavens were in despair. They realized that the battle servants from back then had returned, and they had become so terrifying. These young geniuses were no match for them. In fact, they themselves were no match for these young men. Damn it! What had these people gone through? This was great. Fu Hongye, Lu Yuan, Gao Jianfei, and the others roared. They had finally taken revenge. However, this was not the end. They knew that Lin Xian was going to strike once more. He was going to destroy the 6 grotto heavens and build Matchless City. Naturally, a huge battle would break out in the process. Lin Xian could not possibly strike out at all 5 grotto heavens at the same time. Therefore, after destroying 3 grotto heavens, the remaining 3 reacted instantly. Knowing that they were no match for him, they fled immediately and reported to Ethereal Peak. After Ethereal Peak received the news, their faces changed. Someone had already destroyed 3 grotto heavens consecutively. How could this be? Why did they not receive any news at all? Could it be that they were joking? Everyone from Ethereal Peak was stunned. However, when they arrived at the 3 grotto heavens, they were all kneeling on the ground. They said that they were lucky that the other party did not lay a hand on them. However, those 3 grotto heavens were indeed destroyed. Even many of the young geniuses of their families were crippled. Who was it? Ethereal Peak frowned. Was it a top sect from another region who had come to challenge them? No, it was Lin Xian. It was that lad from back then. He was back. Lin Xian. Everyone from Ethereal Peak was stunned. They then let out a sharp killing intent. This was a name that they naturally remembered. It was this young man who had once challenged them and caused them to lose so much face. To think that he would be back again. Impossible. The elder of the star race shook his head. How could a young man like him have such strength? Back then, he had the Xiantian sect backing him. However, the Xiantian sect should have been long gone by now. We don't know. The people from the 3 grotto heavens shook their heads. These people had escaped, but the grotto heavens were still around. After the elites of the remaining 3 grotto heavens had escaped, they were no match for Lin Xian and the others. Soon they were conquered as well. Eventually, the 6 grotto heavens disappeared. Matchless City was built. Chapter 4970. Peerless City was established. It was announced to the world. The sects and clans in the area were in an uproar. Had the grottos disappeared and become history? Peerless City. What was that? Ethereal Peak. This time, they were the first to receive the news. Following which, their faces turned extremely ugly. The 6 grottos no longer existed. The other party had even established a new sect. This was going against Ethereal Peak. Lin Xian, an ant, how dare you challenge Ethereal Peak? I'll let you know that even if you have Xiantian Pavilion or other forces behind you, you're still no match for us. Ethereal Peak let out a cold killing intent. After Lin Xian conquered the 6 grottos, he did not attack Ethereal Peak immediately. Instead, he rested. He wanted to integrate the 6 grottos. The 6 grottos were far apart from each other. Lin Xian swallowed 5 grottos directly. Only 1,000 grottos were left. Furthermore, the grottos were officially changed and Peerless City was established with them as the foundation. The martial artists in the area were in a heated discussion. Oh heavens! Was someone going to challenge Ethereal Peak's position as the overlord? Who knew what kind of background Peerless City had? Too strong. The 6 grottos were destroyed in the blink of an eye. What kind of strength was that? Countless discussions rang out, and these voices were transmitted to Ethereal Peak. The people of Ethereal Peak were furious. Damn it. How dare they look down on us? These stupid ants. Are they looking to die? There were also people who said that it seemed like Ethereal Peak had not shown their strength for a long time. To think that a young man would dare to behave so atrociously above their heads. Gather our strength and attack Peerless City. I'll let them destroy as quickly as they build. Ethereal Peak was enraged. They gathered their experts and moved out quickly. Today they set off. The sects and clans in the area went up to Peerless City to congratulate them. At the same time, they wanted to befriend Peerless City. Therefore, Peerless City was extremely lively today. For such a matter, Lin Xian did not even appear. He let Nailin Yang and Yuren handle it. Old ancestor Xianhai and the others looked at the scene in disbelief. They felt that Lin Xian was even more mysterious and terrifying. This young man had used thunderous methods to overturn the situation in this region that had existed for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. This was simply the means of a god. However, they were not at ease because they knew that the Misty Peak would not let this matter rest. If even the combined forces of the Sixth Paradise weren't a match for the Misty Peak, not to mention that they had been suppressed for thousands of years, one could only imagine how frightening the Misty Peak was. Could this Lin Xian really withstand it? Outside, there was a sea of people. It was incomparably lively, and there were voices of congratulations everywhere. However, at this moment, dark clouds covered the sky, and a terrifying aura pressed down. Everyone raised their heads with fear on their faces. Black Ice Ancestors' pupils shrank. Is it coming? I have an extremely bad feeling. Lin Xian, get out here and face your death. A terrifying voice rang out, shattering the 9 heavens. Terrifying laws fell down from the sky. The people of the clans and sects below quickly retreated in fear. Oh no, are the people of Misty Peak here? Above the black clouds, there were countless figures. 8 of them were exceptionally terrifying. They were the 8 elders of the Ethereal Peak. The 8 of them were like gods and demons, standing above the 9 heavens. Not good. Black Ice Ancestors' pupils shrank. To think that the Misty Peak would be so generous. In an instant, they sent 8 great sages, followed by countless powerful beings. This strength was enough to sweep through everything. Those who came to congratulate felt their scalps tingle. They were in despair. They felt that they had made a decision that they regretted. It seemed a little too early to congratulate so many people. That's right. Even though the Misty Peak did not make a move all year round, their position as the Overlord was something that no one dared to challenge. Yu Rin and the others had grim expressions. By Susu, Crimson Dragon, and the others walked out as well. Are you guys from the Misty Peak? By Susu shouted coldly. In front, the 8 great sages of the Misty Peak frowned. All of them were young. How dare a bunch of young ants go against us? They all knelt by the side obediently. How dare you attack the Sixth Paradise and challenge the Misty Peak? You guys don't know what's good for you. Kneel down and accept your death. We'll give you a quick death. As for that Lin Xian, we'll tear him into pieces and let him know the fate of living a life worse than death. The 8 great sages emitted a torrential aura. Countless people around them knelt down. Behind them were the people from the 3 paradises. Looking at this scene, they sneered. What Lin Xian? He couldn't even be compared to the Misty Peak. Just 8 great sages? By Susu's face was filled with disdain. Crimson Dragon and the others sneered as well. To be honest, this lineup was terrifying in the eyes of others. But it was nothing in front of them. One should know that back in the Taoist sex event, those who came were all great sages. In fact, there were quite a number of great sages in the late and pinnacle stages. Bai Susu had seen such scenes many times. How could 8 great sages scare her? Another 8 people came. Lin Xian walked out and shook his head. Too little. Did the Misty Peak send you guys to die? Kid, it's you. When the people of the Misty Peak saw Lin Xian, their eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. One of the elders waved his hand, and a cold light slashed forward. He wanted to kill Lin Xian by surprise. But how could such a small move hurt Lin Xian? Lin Xian smashed the attack with a single palm. He then activated his eye technique. The great sage screamed. His soul was injured. His body swayed, and his face was pale. "You want to sneak up on me? I'm afraid you don't have what it takes." Countless people were shocked. The faces of the people of the Misty Peak turned ugly. This guy could hurt a great sage. Unbelievable. Could it be that this young man had already become a great sage? What kind of cultivation speed was this? He remembered that when this guy left, he wasn't even a Saint King. How could he be a great sage now? They were going crazy. But when they sensed him carefully, they realized that he didn't have the aura of a great sage. The elder of the star tribe gritted his teeth. "Everyone, don't hesitate. This kid is strange. If we let him grow, he will be our nightmare in the future. Let's attack together and kill him now to prevent future troubles." "That's right." The other great sages nodded. 8 great sages walked forward together. Every step they took caused the sky to collapse. Countless people vomited blood and retreated. The people of the Divine Union sneered. Lin Xian was even more fearless. Now the heaven-devouring jar. The reason why Lin Fan had devoured the 5 paradise and refined all of their powers was for this very moment. He took out the great dragon's sword soul and slashed out. The 8 great sages attacked together with the confidence of being invincible. But under this sword, their confidence collapsed. 1 sword and 4 great sages were destroyed. The other 4 were severely injured and fled. Run. They fled back to the Misty Peak. The others were also scared out of their wits and fled quickly. The people below were stunned. Was this really the Misty Peak? When they came, they were as mighty as gods. But now they were like stray dogs. The confidence of the people of the Misty Peak collapsed. How could they have known that the sword would be so terrifying? Lin Xian chased after them casually. Chapter 4971. Ethereal Peak was also waiting, but they weren't worried. After sending out 8 great sages, Wushuang City should have been destroyed long ago. However, not long after, there was a roar. "Quick, save us. Activate the Supreme Array." That kid was here. For great sages returned with blood. The people of Ethereal Peak were terrified. What was going on? Were you ambushed? The 4 great sages shook their heads. It was Lin Xian. Lin Xian was here. He was a demon. They had to stop him. Lin Xian. The people of Ethereal Peak frowned. A young man could make the great sages so terrified. Why were only the 4 of them back? Where were the others? What kind of experts did Lin Xian invite to help? The 4 experts wanted to say something, but in the next moment, a figure flew over from afar. Lin Xian stood in the sky. Looking at the ethereal peak in front, he said coldly, "Do you think you can survive by escaping here?" With that said, the heaven-swallowing jar surged with energy again. Lin Xian took out a dragon-shaped sword shadow and slashed out. "Retreat!" The 4 injured great sages roared in fear. The others of Ethereal Peak were stunned. What was a young man afraid of? This was their territory. "Don't be afraid. Let me do it." A few elders stood out. One of them held a long spear and shattered the world. The other person took out a shield to block the attack. The other 2 shrouded their holy regions and activated the array. It was too easy to kill a young man with such a lineup. But these people were destined to be in despair. Under the sword, the array was shattered, the mountain collapsed, and the great sages who attacked disappeared. Of the 4 who were severely injured, 2 were swept into the sword light and turned into blood mist. Endless mountains collapsed. An entire ethereal peak was shocked. This sword strike almost split Misty Peak in half. Lin Xian was shocked. Ethereal Peak was indeed above the grotto heaven. Their foundation was indeed extraordinary. But he wasn't afraid. His body swayed, and he entered Ethereal Peak. At this moment, the Peak Master of Ethereal Peak came out as well. He was a middle-aged man wearing a Taoist robe, and his face was grim. He walked over with countless experts and confronted Lin Xian. "Young man, this is not a place where you can be so presumptuous." Lin Xian's answer was very simple. It was another sword strike. Piles of Misty Peak warriors had perished, and even the sages had perished. The Misty Peak was torn apart. Previously, Lin Xian had devoured 5 heavenly caves with the heaven-devouring jar, allowing him to execute 5 slashes. At this moment, he had already slashed 3 times, and only 2 more were left. The people of Misty Peak were shocked. What kind of attack was this? The Misty Peak's Peak Lord was even more furious. "Young man, don't go overboard. Although you are powerful, how many times can you use such an attack?" Even some of the Supreme Elders had awakened. Their killing intent soared, and there was even an extremely terrifying killing intent gathering in the dark. Obviously, the power of the mortal world had also been used. An inescapable net. This lineup was 10 times stronger than the previous heavenly caves. Lin Xian stood in the void without flinching. He took out a token from his storage ring and said, "You should recognize this token." The people of Misty Peak looked over, puzzled. How could a token scare them? However, the Misty Peak's Peak Lord exclaimed, "Saint Origin token. You have a Saint Origin token. You are from the sacred Abyss Tower." As the Peak Lord, he had traveled around when he was young, so he had naturally been to the sacred Abyss ancient city. He even knew about the legend of the sacred Abyss Tower. At that time, he stood outside and admired it for a long time. After he returned, he was very powerful, but he never went to the sacred Abyss ancient city again. However, he was very clear about the power and terror of the sacred Abyss Tower. Now that the other party had a Saint Origin token, it meant that he was from the sacred Abyss Tower. "It's good that you recognize it. Do you think that Misty Peak is qualified to fight against me? How dare you? Who do you think you are? Are you trying to scare us?" The people around him shouted angrily. "Shut up!" The Misty Peak's Peak Lord roared. "What do you know?" The surrounding people were all terrified. Could it be that this command medallion really possessed some sort of magical power that could make their peak leader so terrified? "Young man, I will let bygones be bygones. The 6 grotto heavens were destroyed, and I acknowledge your position in Wushuang City. How about we write off the grudges between us?" The people around him were dumbfounded. It was too unbelievable. Their Peak Lord actually backed down. "It's not enough." Lin Xian shook his head. The Misty Peak's Peak Lord's pupils shrank. He gritted his teeth and asked, "Then what do you want?" "Hand over the assassins of the human world. As for the rest of Misty Peak, they will go down the mountain and become independent cultivators. They will never be enemies with Wushuang City." "Impossible." The elders around him roared crazily. They would never agree to either of the 2 conditions. The human world and Misty Peak were too closely related. There was no way to separate them. As for sealing the mountain gate, what a joke. Wouldn't Wushuang City become a supremacy in this place? How could they give up? The assassins of the human world took the initiative to attack. The terrifying killing swords covered the sky. There were dozens of them. They were all great sages. Ordinary assassins below the great sage level wouldn't be able to break through Lin Xian's defense. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He merged the power of the last 2 grotto heavens and slashed out a super strong sword, a sword that shocked the gods. Under the sword, the void was shattered. Dozens of great sages were turned into blood mist. Lin Xian stood in the sea of blood and asked coldly, "Do you want to continue?" Although the power given to him by the grotto heavens was gone, he was still fearless. His eyes shone with confidence. The elders broke down. The people of the star race were also in despair. The other party must be using an extreme weapon. Otherwise, why would it be so terrifying? Stop. I'm willing to accept your previous conditions. The Misty Peaks Peak Lord sighed. It was as if he had aged a few thousand years. Lin Xian sneered. It's too late to agree now. I'll add one more condition. Hand over the resources of Misty Peak. You. The Misty Peaks Peak Lord was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. However, he still acquiesced. He had no choice, although he doubted whether the other party could still unleash a super strong sword. If they continued fighting, there would be no benefits for Misty Peak. The other party had taken out the Saint Yuan token. If anything happened to the other party here, the Divine General of the Sacred Abyss Tower would definitely come to investigate. By then, no matter how strong they were, they wouldn't be able to withstand the wrath of the Divine General. All the great sages of the mortal world had fallen under that sword. The remaining assassins of the mortal world were in despair. The Misty Peaks Peak Lord and the others had taken action personally. The people of the star race were in despair. Are you guys really going to take action? The members of the mortal world were basically from the star race. At this moment, the star race was wiped out. Young master, are you satisfied? Lin Xian looked around. When he could no longer feel the killing intent, he nodded. Then he walked over. Misty Peak seems to have the power of reincarnation. He was also emitting an extremely strong power of reincarnation. The Misty Peaks Peak Lord was stunned. Young master, please follow me. Chapter 4972. He had completely submitted to Lin Fan now. The person in front of him had completely surpassed him in terms of status and strength. As for the other party coming to them, they had only themselves to blame. After all, they had hunted down the other party back then. Now it was an eye for an eye. The fact that Ethereal Peak could survive was already a blessing in disguise. He naturally didn't dare to have any thoughts of revenge. As for the reincarnation power that the other party mentioned, he couldn't hide it. Lin Xian followed the other party all the way into Ethereal Peak, passing through countless arrays. He wasn't afraid that the other party would play any tricks. He had enough trump cards to deal with everything. The Ethereal Peak Master didn't seem to want to play any tricks. He came to the depths of the mountains and opened an ancient mansion. There was a sacred platform inside, emitting the radiance of the great Tao, and there was a bone on it. The bone exuded the power of reincarnation. Lin Xian was surprised. The Ethereal Peak Master said that this was the source of the reincarnation power of Ethereal Peak. Looking at the reincarnation bone in front of him, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. There was also a terrifying power of reincarnation in his eyes. The two types of reincarnation power intertwined between heaven and earth. The Ethereal Peak Master was shocked. To be honest, although they could use the power of reincarnation, they couldn't get close to the reincarnation bone at all. Not to mention that Lin Xian could unleash such a terrifying power of reincarnation. The Ethereal Peak Master was too shocked. At this moment, the reincarnation bone in front of him suddenly flew towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian was stunned. The power of reincarnation intertwined in his eyes, forming a gate of reincarnation and sucking the bone in. This wasn't his intention. The bone flew over of its own accord. Lin Xian naturally didn't hold back. If he absorbed the power of reincarnation on it, it might be able to evolve his heavenly secret divine eye. He now knew that after the heavenly secret divine eye evolved, it would become the legendary reincarnation eye. At a glance, it was the 6 paths of reincarnation. The Ethereal Peak Master was stunned. Why did he take away the supreme treasure of Ethereal Peak? What was she about to say? Lin Xian turned his head and looked over. The Misty Peak Lord felt his scalp turning numb. He could feel the gaze of Qin when Tian growing deeper and deeper. He laughed. treasures could only be obtained by experts. Moreover, young master, you also possess the power of reincarnation. This originally belonged to you. His heart was bleeding, but he still had to smile. Lin Xian lightly snorted and said indifferently, previously in the true spirit world, the channel to the buried Emperor's star should be under your control. Open it, I want to return to quintessential world. The Misty Peak Lord was shocked. Young master wanted to return. Naturally, he didn't dare to ask any more questions. I'll go and prepare now. Actually, what he needed to do was very simple. He just needed to bring Lin Xian and the others to a specific location and then activate the power of reincarnation. Previously, they had borrowed the power of the reincarnation bone to control this passageway. But now, the reincarnation bone was gone. Without a source of reincarnation energy in their hands, they might not be able to control this passage in the future. Lin Xian and the rest returned from the Misty Peak. At this moment, the Misty Peak's momentum was greatly reduced. Furthermore, they were no longer the overlords and had fallen from their divine altar. From now on, this region belonged to Peerless City. When the clans and sects in this region found out, they were in an uproar. They originally thought that the Misty Peak would completely crush Peerless City, but the situation was completely out of their expectations. Peerless City was actually so powerful that they had become the only overlord in this region. Even the Misty Peak had to bow down to them. Moreover, it was said that there were countless sages' blood flying from the Misty Peak. It was like hell. Hong Yi, Gao, Jianfei, the two of you stay here and take care of things here. Yes, young martial uncle. The two of them nodded and walked out. Lin Xian took out a token. This was the Divine Union token. Anyone who dared to disobey would be killed without mercy. A cold voice rang out. The people of the Misty Peak also lowered their heads, not daring to disobey. After resting for another 2 days, Lin Xian and the rest moved out. The Misty Peak's peak master personally led the way. He brought them to a primitive forest and pointed at a huge mountain in front of them. This is the place. Use the power of reincarnation to open the door of reincarnation. All right. Lin Xian nodded. There was an extremely terrifying power of reincarnation intertwining in his eyes. The void in front of them shook and was torn apart. Then a door of reincarnation appeared, emitting a mysterious aura. At the same time, there seemed to be some kind of mysterious power connecting heaven and earth, which surprised Lin Xian. This was too unbelievable. He had a shocking thought, but now was not the time to think about it. Let's go. With a wave of his hand, he led the Crimson Dragon and the rest into the door of reincarnation. After another round of space shuttling, they were already in the quintessential world when they reappeared. The people of the Divine Union were extremely curious, especially by Susu and the rest, who kept looking around. Lin Xian, is this the quintessential world? This is the origin star. It is indeed extraordinary. I can feel the aura here. It is very mysterious. Lin Xian nodded. Then he was surprised. He could feel that the power of this world had increased a lot since he had left. In other words, this world was recovering at an extremely fast speed. In that case, the cultivation of the people in this world should have undergone earth-shaking changes. He did not know. What was the connection between these two worlds? Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand. Everyone boarded the spirit boat. They flew quickly. Lin Xian, the Crimson Dragon, and the rest heard some things about the divine spirit world. It turned out that the remote antiquity families also existed in this world. Furthermore, Wan Longchao had come from here. They were extremely surprised. They even found that those sacred grounds and peerless great sects also existed here. The two worlds were exactly the same. Bai Susu exclaimed. The others also exclaimed. Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat. He seemed to have grasped a key point, but he still felt that it was a little vague. Were the family inheritances the same in the two worlds? One was life and the other was death. Could it be the same as Tai Chi? He cultivated the Tai Chi art and naturally knew that yin and yang were fused together and could not be separated independently. The buried Emperor star and the origin star were equivalent to yin and yang. Interesting. It was getting more and more mysterious. He probably could not figure it out with his current strength. If he wanted to know, he would probably have to become an emperor. The group first went to the outstanding warrior residence and saw Qing Wu, North Demon's sister. At this moment, Qing Wu's strength had increased by leaps and bounds. However, when she saw Lin Xian and the rest, she was shocked. Lin Xian said, "I'm here to pick you up on behalf of your brother. Come with me." Qing Wu was so excited that she was about to cry. She had been separated from North Demon for many years. She nodded and left with Lin Xian. "Let's go to the Divine Palace." The group once again headed to the Divine Palace. At the Divine Palace, Peacock, Xingtian, and the rest were extremely excited when they saw Lin Xian return. They greeted the Divine Palace Master. Lin Xian laughed. "Let's celebrate later. I want to see old Xia first." He headed to the core region of the Divine Palace and went to the ancient cave. Lin Xian opened it. There was an old man sealed in the divine crystal. His aura was extremely weak. Lin Xian took a deep breath after seeing it. He said, "Senior, I'm here." Chapter 4973. Inside the divine crystal, Xiajiu opened his eyes and smiled kindly. "You're back?" Lin Xian said, "I've kept you waiting." With that, he waved his hand and opened the sword world. It enveloped Xiajiu as well. "Now that I've found the divine spring of life, it has a strong vitality. He once created the immortal divine medicine and the divine tree of life. He should be able to cure you." Xiajiu's eyes lit up. "The divine spring of life? You actually obtained it as well. How could Spirit Realm be willing to give it to you?" Lin Xian was even more surprised. He didn't expect Xiajiu to know such a secret. Wasn't this something only the divine tree of life and the previous masters of Spirit Realm knew? Xiajiu recalled and said, "Back then I also went to Spirit Realm to look for the immortal herb. I saw the divine spring of life. However, Spirit Realm was related to a great emperor back then. I wasn't a great emperor back then, so I couldn't make a move. So I left. How did you get it? It shouldn't be easy. How could Spirit Realm be willing to give it to you?" Xiajiu was also very confused. Lin Xian said that Spirit Realm was destroyed and no longer existed. Xiajiu's pupils shrank. He looked up and asked, "What's going on?" Lin Xian said, "I didn't do it. It was the 1,000 Dragon Court." It was a long story. To put it simply, the Dragon Prince's life was in danger. The 1,000 Dragon Court went crazy and wanted to snatch the divine tree of life. There was actually such a thing. Xiajiu exclaimed. It seemed that the battle for Great Emperor was getting more and more intense. Lin Xian said, "Old Xia, let's use the divine spring of life first." He felt that the other party was in a bad state. "So, I'm not suitable to stay in this world in my current state. Let me out first. Take out the divine spring of life." Lin Xian also came back to his senses. He was too excited just now and didn't see that the divine crystal on Xiajiu's body was about to disappear. Obviously, the sword world was absorbing power. He said, "I was too reckless." He quickly brought Xiajiu out of the sword world. At the same time, he took out 2 springs from the sword world. It was placed in Xiajiu's cave. Xiajiu sat on the mouth of the spring as the divine spring of life enveloped him. His withered body was gradually recovering. "That's great." Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Sure enough, it worked. Next, Lin Xian gave Xiajiu a detailed account of his experiences on the buried Emperor Star. Xiajiu felt gratified after hearing this. The student has surpassed the teacher. You will definitely walk further on the path of the great emperor than me. By the way, Elder Xia, what is going on in this world? Why did it wither? Lin Xian asked about the sword world. Elder Xia sighed. This world had withered away during the Great War back then. However, it did not shatter. It was just that its power had dried up. As long as there was a chance, he would be reborn. Now that he is in your hands, you must take good care of him. Perhaps you will be able to achieve that goal one day when you control this world. Xia Zhuyo's explanation was very vague, but Lin Xian knew that this world was very important. Furthermore, he had also experienced the wonders of this world. The growth rate of the spirit herbs inside was countless times faster than the growth rate outside. It was simply a paradise. He really did not know what kind of great war had caused this world to wither away. Peak Great Sage? Or was it a battle between great emperors above the Great Sage? Lin Xian then left. He had been maintaining the connection between the sacred spring of life and the sacred spring of life. This would allow Xia Zhuyo to continue recovering. This time, he went out to meet with the people from the Divine Hall. The group was very happy. Bai Susu and the others from the Divine Union were already familiar with Peacock and the others. Therefore, they chatted happily with each other. Everyone was lively for more than 10 days before gradually calming down. On this day, Xia Zhuyo's pupils shrank. Lin Xian's expression changed. He could sense that the little bit of vitality that Xia Zhuyo had just recovered seemed to be rapidly declining. What was going on? Lin Xian's expression changed as he instantly arrived at the ancient cave. What had happened? Xia Zhuyo's face was a little pale. His eyes were staring ahead as though he was confronting something. Lin Xian was puzzled. He couldn't sense anything. A moment later, he activated his heavenly secret god eye and his golden gaze swept over. The void was torn apart and a wind blew past. Who was it? Lin Xian waved his hand and grabbed nothing. However, at that moment, he discovered that there were a few footprints on the ground. It was pitch black. Someone had come here and was confronting Xia Zhuyo. Who was it? Lin Xian took the lead to look at Xia Zhuyo. He had set up countless arrays in the surroundings. However, Xia Zhuyo said that it was useless. He had not expected it to be them. They were indeed still alive. Lin Xian was even more puzzled. Who exactly was it? One had to know that although Xia Zhuyo's vitality was not much now, he had been invincible when he was at his peak. Even on the buried Emperor Star, there were probably not many who could contend with him. One could only imagine how terrifying the existence that had shocked him was. They were from the underworld. The underworld? Lin Xian was stunned. Wasn't that an assassin organization? There were terrifying assassins. Lin Xian's face turned gloomy. Xia Zhuyo said that assassins were one of the members of the underworld, but not all of them. For example, the Heavenly Court also had assassin organizations. However, that was only a part of it. Lin Xian was astonished. He asked, could it be that the underworld is in existence like the Heavenly Court? Xia Zhuyo nodded. That was more or less the case. When he was at his peak, he had contended against them, and neither could do anything to the other. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. Although he had never seen the Heavenly Court, he had heard of it. The Heavenly Court had the heaven-devouring jar, countless ancient cultivation techniques, and the 12 Tao palaces. It was truly an organization with countless experts and geniuses. He had not expected the underworld to be so terrifying. Xia Zhuyo continued to say shocking things. The Heavenly Court had great emperors, and so did the underworld. The one who had created the Heavenly Court was called the Heavenly Emperor. The one who had created the underworld was called the Underworld Emperor. The Underworld Emperor's ultimate weapon was the Book of Life and Death. It could control the life and death of tens of thousands of worlds. Although the Underworld Emperor had died, the Book of Life and Death had been passed down. Xia Zhuyo's every word shocked Lin Xian even more. The Book of Life and Death could reap one's soul and take one's life? Were these people here to take Xiajiu's life? Xiajiu sighed. The heavenly Tao was heartless. No one could escape from the cycle of life and death. However, we cultivate to prolong our lives as much as possible. Therefore, there was the immortal divine medicine and the second life. Now that I have been nourished by the divine spring of life, my vitality has begun to recover. My reincarnation from the dead has naturally destroyed the will of the heavenly Tao. This has attracted the attention of the underworld. That was why they had sent an emissary here. Was there no other way? Lin Xian frowned. It had not been easy for him to obtain the divine spring of life. Xiajiu said that there was still a way. They were called the underworld, but they were only some powerful saints. They were neither gods nor immortals. In the end, they were eliminating potential enemies for the underworld. Chapter 4974. Lin Xian understood and heaved a sigh of relief. What Xiajiu had said about the Book of Life and Death and the Underworld Emperor had frightened him. That was why he had imagined them to be existences that surpassed everything. Now it seemed like these were just titles. They were people just like the Heavenly Court and the Purple Mansion. It was just that their cultivation techniques and abilities were a little strange. Since they were people, they could be dealt with and killed. I want to see if the Book of Life and Death can bring them back to life when their bodies and souls are destroyed. Xiajiu's eyes shone with a piercing light. How could he give up now that there was hope? He said, "Give me 2 more springs and I'll recover faster. When I'm stronger, I'll be able to enter your world. They won't be able to enter then." Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief when he heard this. However, his expression turned grave in the next moment. Xiajiu had said, "Before that, you have to be able to withstand 3 attacks." 3 attacks? Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he took a deep breath. "Don't worry. Leave it to me. I won't let anyone hurt you." He sat down in a lotus position outside the cave. He didn't tell the sacred hall or the divine union. The hell's emissary came and went without a trace. It was very mysterious and strange. The night turned dark. A chilly wind blew, and Su Qing opened his eyes abruptly. He felt his hair stand on end. Golden flames danced in his eyes as he looked ahead. The whole world changed in his eyes. He could see more clearly. He found that there was indeed a blurry figure walking over. This person was wearing a black robe and emanating a deathly aura. He was swinging a chain in his hand. However, he couldn't hear him at all. Perhaps only Xiajiu could hear this voice. The hell's emissary flew toward Xiajiu. He didn't pay attention to Lin Xian at all, as though he didn't exist. Lin Xian waved his hand and a sword aura cut through the sky, blocking the other party's path. The hell's emissary stopped in front. When he saw the golden flames in Lin Xian's eyes, he said in a low voice, "Young man, can you see me?" "Of course. Not only can I see you, but I'll also stop you." "Just you?" "Ha ha ha. Hell reaps your soul, and in Nitya, Hellguard reaps your life. You can't stop that. If you dare to interfere with the affairs of the underworld, I'll take your soul away and send it to hell for all eternity." His voice contained an extremely terrifying power. That was the aura of death, sweeping towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered. The law of death also condensed on his body. When the 2 of them collided, it was like 2 mountains clashing. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Elder Xia was right. You guys are just humans who have cultivated special techniques and abilities. There's nothing to be surprised about. You've also cultivated the law of death? The underworld emissary was shocked. But soon he sneered. You're too naive. Since we're both death laws, I'll let you know the difference between us. Since you dare to stand in the way of hell's business, then I'll take your soul away. The chain in his hand flew forward. Lin Xian could feel a huge shackling force enveloping him. It was a force that suppressed his soul. Soul chains? In his eyes, golden radiance ignited heaven and earth. burning fiercely, blocking those chains. The entire chain shook violently. The underworld emissary's expression changed again. What a strong soul aura. Those eyes. He stared at Lin Xian's eyes and frowned. Young man, are you really not going to move aside? Lin Xian didn't say anything this time. Instead, he took the initiative to attack. Take a punch for me too. The golden fist punched out, shattering heaven and earth. The underworld emissary sneered. It's useless. You can't hurt me. But as soon as he finished speaking, his hair stood on end and he retreated in horror. Damn it, the power of reincarnation. Who are you? Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and said loudly, You don't need to know who I am. But today, you can forget about stepping into this cave. The hell's emissary was enraged as well. He let out a low roar that sounded like the roar of a demon god. Behind him, endless death aura appeared and condensed into an illusion. It was the deep and serene hell. Countless vengeful spirits of hell rushed out from the 9 serenities hell. The terrifying aura made one's scalp tingle. The power of the 9 serenities hell came again with the 2 soul chains. Lin Xian's body surged with a monstrous sword light. Slash. His sword was capable of destroying everything. With a slash of the sword, countless vengeful spirits were all split apart. The 2 soul chains were also sent flying and cracks appeared on them. The underworld emissary was shocked. Damn it, this kid is so evil. After Lin Xian slashed out, the 9 yang divine body bloomed beside him, surrounded by the illusion of 9 suns. The power of the purest yang swept in all directions. As soon as this power came out, the 9 serenities hell on the opposite side instantly shook. Black smoke rose from it, and countless vengeful spirits screamed miserably. Damn it, the purest yang physique. The underworld emissary's expression changed. This physique was specially used to restrain them. Young man, good. Very good. You have completely offended us. Just wait for the anger of the underworld. This person didn't attack again. His body slowly disappeared and then disappeared. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He didn't care about this threat. Then he sat down cross-legged again, took out a pill, and swallowed it to recover. 3 days later, he opened his eyes. He felt the second figure coming. That's right, the second underworld emissary had arrived. This person's appearance was similar to the previous one, but his weapon was different. Previously, the other party used the soul chains. This time, the other party was holding a death scythe. The pitch-black death scythe emitted a demonic aura that frightened people from their souls. He turned into smoke and rushed over, arriving in front of Lin Xian in an instant. The death scythe slashed down. Boom! A pitch-black crack was torn in the void, spreading in all directions and enveloping Lin Xian. An extremely terrifying death aura emerged from the other party's body. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He wasn't afraid. He took out the Great Destruction and attacked the death scythe. With a clang, flames danced in the air. However, at this moment, his pupils shrank. He found that there were 4 killing swords behind him, directly attacking him. Assassins and top assassins at that. Lin Xian's face darkened. These were the assassins of hell, not weaker than those of the mortal world. Puff! The 4 killing swords suddenly attacked, hitting Lin Xian's back, sending Lin Xian flying. Lin Xian's blood boiled. His face turned pale, and his body fell forward. At this moment, the underworld emissary sneered. A black chain appeared in his hand, binding Lin Xian's body, fixing him in midair. Ignorant ant, how dare you fight against hell? I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life. The death scythe was raised high and fell down. Puff! Blood splattered, cutting the body in front of him in half. It couldn't withstand a single blow. Looking at the broken body, the underworld emissary sneered and withdrew the death scythe. However, in the next moment his body trembled, and he lowered his head in disbelief. A black spear pierced through his body, shattering all of his internal organs. Chapter 4975. How is this possible? The Hellbringer was shocked. Wasn't the kid in front of him cut in half? How could he still attack him? He abruptly turned around and discovered that Lin Xian was completely unharmed. Damn it, how could this be? Could it be a clone? No, it's an illusion. I was hit by an illusion just now. When the Hellbringer saw that pair of cold eyes, he instantly understood. Cold. Sweat flowed down his forehead. Damn it, this young man's eye technique is so powerful that I fell for it. What made him even more terrified was that he couldn't move at all. His body was pierced by the spear of destruction, and an invincible sword intent surged into his body. It seemed to be able to destroy all the power in his body. You want to suppress me with this kind of strength? What a joke. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The Hellbringer roared crazily. Kid, don't be too proud. No matter how strong a person is, he can't compete with hell. Is that so? I don't know if I can compete with the entire hell, but killing you is as easy as flipping my hand. A terrifying killing intent surged from Lin Xian's body. The Hellbringer's expression changed drastically. You dare to kill me? If you kill me, you'll become the enemy of hell. However, it was useless. No matter how he threatened, he couldn't change Lin Xian's mind. Just as Lin Xian was about to make his move, the sound of a gong rang out from afar. Following that, the entire void shattered. The Hellbringer was stunned. His body was torn to pieces by the sound, turning into black mist and quickly reforming in the distance. Death Taker! Great, you're here. The Death Sickle was very excited. Lin Xian frowned. Is someone coming again? The first two took his soul, and the last one took his life. His face darkened. A figure walked out from the front. It was an old man. His face was pale, without a trace of blood. He carried a large black flag on his back and held a gong in his hand. The sound just now came from it. After the old man arrived, he looked at the Hellbringer and frowned. What happened? Did he fail again? This kid is too strange. His soul eye technique is very powerful, and he even knows a terrifying sword intent. Humph, trash! The old man shouted coldly. The Hell's emissary lowered his head and begged for forgiveness. Forget it, I'll do it myself. The old man walked forward, but he didn't enter the cave. He directly struck the gong. Clang! A deep voice rang out, making people feel as if their souls were about to leave their sheaths. Lin Xian also felt his soul tremble. His eyes erupted with radiance as he forcefully suppressed it. At the same time, he roared angrily. Countless dragon-shaped sword chi shot out and slashed forward. Useless brat. With just your sword, you can't use my voice. The old man from hell was very confident, but as soon as he finished speaking, he was slapped in the face. Under the sword chi, his voice quickly became softer and softer before disappearing completely. What's going on? The old man's face darkened. His opponent's sword chi was indeed very strange. No wonder you failed the previous 2 times. You do have some strength. Looks like I have to use some tricks. The black flag on his back shone with a demonic radiance. Then it transformed into 2 large black hands that reached out to grab him. Lin Xian's eyes were also filled with killing intent. Previously, Xiajiao had said that he would block 3 attacks, which meant that the underworld would send 3 envoys. Now, it was already the 3rd one. As long as he could block this person's attack, there wouldn't be any danger in the underworld for a short period of time. Lin Xian brandished Apocalypse and slashed forward with the dragon-shaped sword chi, colliding with the large black hands. The large flag suddenly transformed into a black snake and coiled around. Seal! The old man roared angrily. The large black snake transformed into countless seals that covered the sky and earth, sealing everything. Then the old man sneered and struck the gong in his hand again. Another clanging sound rang out. In his opinion, he had already sealed the other party. His large black flag was also an incredible weapon. It would definitely be difficult for the other party to escape. However, the sound still didn't reach him. Countless black vortexes appeared in the surroundings, directly swallowing these voices. Lin Xian's voice still sounded. "You want to seal me with a mere seal? You're too naive." Boom! The apocalypse spear shone brightly as if the black dragon had come alive and tore apart the seals in the sky. The sword chi on it continued to erupt and soared into the sky. Lin Xian swept out like a peerless sword god. Boom! He charged towards the large black flag. The old man's expression changed. He formed a seal with one hand and waved it behind him. The black flag flew out and danced in the sky, resisting the apocalypse spear. At the same time, the gong in his hand changed direction and charged towards Lin Xian. The soul shattered. The sound changed. Previously, it was the sound of summoning the soul. Now, it was the sound of destroying the soul. Lin Xian felt that his 7 orifices were bleeding and his soul was about to shatter. He released the power of reincarnation and turned it into a reincarnation millstone that crushed out. At the same time, he formed a seal with his palms. Seal of the fearless lion. The berserk lion roared angrily between heaven and earth. Lin Xian opened and closed, fighting a great battle with it. So strong? The scythe-wielding emissary of the underworld was dumbfounded. It seemed that the other party could kill him effortlessly. The old man's expression was even colder. He was actually such a difficult opponent. Was he a top genius? Thinking of that, he was furious. No one has ever dared to stop us, not even the top geniuses. Hell descended. The old man roared angrily. Countless black runes appeared on his body and began to burn. The surroundings instantly darkened, and the 9th underworld descended once again. The emissary of the underworld had used this method before, but its power was 10 times stronger than before. It seemed to have enveloped the entire world. The people of the Temple of the Gods felt that the sky had darkened. A chilly wind blew past, causing their bodies to tremble. The old man of hell seemed to have turned into the god of hell as he looked at Lin Xian. Suppress 18 levels of hell. Lin Xian felt the ground beneath his feet crack open. It was as if there was a force pulling him underground. He stomped his feet, and the terrifying power of his divine body transformed into a divine dragon that bombarded the crack. At the same time, he soared into the sky. So what if the underworld descended? I'll split it with my sword. The sword chi in Lin Xian's hand became more and more terrifying. It let out a terrifying dragon roar. Then he held the sword with both hands and slashed down. Boom! The 9 underworld began to tremble again, and cracks began to appear on its surface. Then it split in half from the middle. How could this be? The old man's pupils constricted. He fell to the ground on his back and vomited blood. What kind of sword technique was this? It could split the 9th underworld. It was unbelievable. Lin Xian slashed again, and the old man's body was split in half. He realized that this force was preventing his body from healing. Lin Xian walked over in a domineering manner like a demonic god. All sorts of ultimate skills were unleashed continuously. Aren't you from the underworld? Don't you have the Book of Life and Death? Let's see if you can be resurrected after death. The seal of the fearless lion came down crazily and tore the old man into pieces. Chapter 4976. Dead. The hell's emissary with the scythe was terrified. You're finished. How dare you kill someone from the underworld? You're dead meat. He roared in horror and gradually dimmed as if he was about to disappear. Lin Xian's eyes were shining with a terrifying radiance. After obtaining the reincarnation bone, his reincarnation power was even more terrifying. His eyes turned into 2 blades of reincarnation power. They pierced through the hell's emissary's body. 6 paths of reincarnation. With a scream, the hell's emissary disappeared. The two of them were dead. Blood mist danced and turned into two blood-red runes, floating towards Lin Xian quickly. This scene was very sudden. Lin Xian was startled. He quickly retreated and slapped forward at the same time. The two runes were sent flying. Then, the two runes disappeared between heaven and earth, surrounded by black gas again. The ground cracked open, and a black eye suddenly opened. However, the eye seemed to have the light of a demon god, piercing through heaven and earth. It shrouded Lin Xian. Lin Xian was facing a great enemy. He roared and activated the heavenly secret god eyes to the extreme to resist. At the same time, he was shocked. What kind of eye was that? It was too terrifying. In the mansion, Xia Juyo was also alarmed and suddenly came out. When he saw the black eye, his face changed. Hell's evil eye. He quickly retreated and slapped forward. At the same time, the Hell's evil eye also emitted a terrifying gaze. It charged towards Lin Xian. Xia Juyo's palm covered the sky and earth. At this moment, he had recovered a little. The power was really terrifying. In an instant, the Hell's evil eye's gaze was shattered. At the same time, the Hell's evil eye was smashed into pieces and turned into black smoke. Did it disappear? The Hell's evil eye heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian, who was behind it, roared angrily. Damn it, he felt that something was wrong. His back was very painful, as if he had been stabbed by something. Xia Juyo hurriedly tore off his armor and gasped in shock. A black vertical eye appeared on Lin Xian's back like a demonic rune. Why would the infernal evil eye appear on Lin Xian? Could it be that he was being targeted? Xia Juyo's brows were tightly knitted together. Lin Xian could naturally sense it as well. His face darkened when he heard that, and he shouted coldly. The great dragon sword spirit in his body spun rapidly, and he attacked the infernal evil eye on his back, trying to cut it into pieces. The infernal evil eye released a terrifying black light to resist the attack. For a moment, it actually blocked the great dragon sword spirit. Lin Xian was even more shocked. What was this? It was so strange. Xia Juyo said that the infernal evil eye was very strange and had existed since the primordial era. Furthermore, it was said that it had existed since the founding of the underworld, so it was very strange. What should he do? Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He hadn't expected hell to be so strange. Xia Juyo took a deep breath. It seemed like he had to make a trip there. Initially, he thought that he could make a trip there alone. I didn't expect to have to bring you along this time. Lin Xian was shocked. Where were they going? Xia Juyo said to the underworld. The underworld. Lin Xian was even more shocked. Xia Juyo nodded. Originally, I wanted to go there to retrieve something, but now you've been targeted by the infernal evil eye. It seems that you have to make a trip there personally, because that's the only way to deal with the eye on your back. Otherwise, once it acts up, it's very likely to take your life. It's so terrifying. Lin Xian was shocked. Xia Juyo said it was very terrifying. 100,000 years ago, there were two people who fought for the throne. Both of them had hopes of becoming a great emperor. However, one of them was targeted by someone from the underworld, and he was struck by the infernal evil eye. Later on, he died mysteriously. Therefore, you have to pay attention to it now. Lin Xian was silent. After a while, he said, I understand. After that, Lin Xian and Xia Juyo began to recover and prepared to head to the underworld. Lin Xian also told Bai Susu and the others to stay here for the time being. He had something to do. The Crimson Dragon asked, Kid, do you need us to go with you? Lin Xian thought for a while and said, No, I can handle it myself. This time, he didn't know what kind of danger he would encounter in the underworld. Therefore, he still hoped that fewer people would go. Xia Juyo's vitality recovered a lot. He formed a seal with his palms and began to construct a huge spatial array in the void. Lin Xian could feel an extremely terrifying spatial power from it. Needless to say, The teleportation distance, this time, should be very far. He asked Senior, "Where is the underworld?" Xiajiao said that in the universe there was a dark galaxy and there were endless worlds in it. The underworld was there, and the entire dark galaxy was controlled by the underworld. Lin Xian was shocked. A galaxy that was really an endless world. The foundation of the underworld was really terrifying. But soon he thought of another possibility. The heavenly court was not weaker than the underworld. In other words, there must be another galaxy in the universe that belonged to the heavenly court. He originally thought that the resources he had obtained from a few worlds were already a lot, but now it seemed that he was still lacking a lot. However, according to Xiajiao, his world seemed to be more important than all the time in a galaxy. This made Lin Xian even more determined to fully revive the Sword World. After the spatial array was set up, Lin Xian and Xiajiao walked up and teleported. In an instant, endless spatial cracks appeared in the sky above the true spirit world. Countless people looked up. What was happening? Some people were shocked. Was someone going to teleport so far? Who was it? In that direction. They investigated, but all the phenomena had disappeared. Lin Xian and Xiajiao had already left the true spirit world. The two of them shuttled through the spatial channel. Every time, the surrounding stars would change, but it was about the same every time. The cold void of the universe was dominated by darkness. The light emitted by the surrounding stars was not enough to illuminate everything. Fortunately, Xiajiao was too strong, so after a few shuttles, they had already left the true spirit world. However, at this moment, the sky shook and the earth shook. The spatial channel was about to shatter. Not good. Xiajiao's face changed. Lin Xian said, "Is someone targeting me?" Xiajiao shook his head. "No, the possibility is very small. I think we must have encountered some special situation. Let's go." They tore through the void and fled quickly. The original spatial channel kept shattering. The two of them appeared in the universe and looked around. Xiajiao's eyes flickered. They had not arrived yet. Then he turned his head and looked into the distance. It turned out that they were the ones who destroyed the spatial channel. Lin Xian also looked into the distance. He activated the heavenly secret god eye and found that there was a battle in the distance. Moreover, it was very terrifying. The two sides of the battle were huge monsters. The monster's body was even bigger than a world. Chapter 4977. On the other side, there were 5 war chariots. They were completely black and carried an extremely terrifying aura of death. The war chariots were being chased. Xiajiao, who was beside him, said that the beast was called the Earth Devil and liked to eat corpses. Needless to say, the 5 war chariots must have been obtained by the underworld. They carried a lot of corpses, which was why the Earth Devil attacked them. Should we charge over or take a detour? Or wait? Lin Xian asked. Xiajiao thought for a moment. No, I changed my mind. I thought of a better idea. Then Xiajiao said this idea. It turned out that he was preparing to hide himself and then let Lin Xian change his identity and aura to get close to the 5 war chariots. Then he would use the name of joining the underworld and entering the underworld. Every once in a while, the underworld would recruit a batch of geniuses for assessment. If they met the requirements, they would stay for training and become a member of the underworld. Lin Xian would not arouse suspicion if he used this name. Then Lin Xian asked, after entering, how could he get rid of the evil eye of hell on his back? He could find something related to Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. Lin Xian was puzzled. Then he understood that it was the existence that suppressed the 18 levels of hell. Legend had it that if he did not enter hell, who would? Could it be that he still had to go to the 18 levels of hell? Lin Xian frowned. Xiajiao said that it was not certain. You might not find Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva personally. You might find his statue or something he used. As for other methods, he was not sure for the time being. However, he could enter the underworld first and investigate. Lin Xian nodded, indicating that he understood. Next, he brought Xiajiu into the sword world and let him continue to recover in the divine spring of life. As for him, he changed his appearance and aura and flew forward. He chose a very good route. He quickly approached one of the war chariots. Everyone save me. He looked very anxious. The people on the war chariot also frowned. Who are you? Why are you here? Lin Xian said, I was originally teleporting, but I did not expect the space tunnel to shatter. I had no choice but to fall in the void. Everyone, please give me a hand. The demonic beasts behind us are too terrifying. Why should I help you? The people from the underworld snorted coldly and remained unmoved. They were all cold existences and would not casually help others. Lin Xian said, I know you're from the underworld because this time I wanted to join the underworld and become their killer. I'm here for the assessment. Oh, you're here for the assessment. This time, one of the old men raised his eyebrows and looked carefully at Lin Xian. He was a Saint King. Lin Xian said, That's right, Senior. Please let me go up. All right, you come up. There was only one person, so they weren't afraid that it might be a trap, so they opened the chariot and let the person get on. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. His heart was filled with joy. Great, I've finally made up. What's your name? Where did it come from? The old man began to ask. Lin Xian had already thought about it. He named a star and a family, then said, My name is Lin. Okay, you can go and rest first. Someone will bring you to the assessment later. Lin Xian was brought into the chariot. The chariot was very big, and there was a special room for resting. After entering, Lin Xian found that there were many people staying here. These people's auras weren't as cold, so it was obvious that they were also here to participate in the assessment. When they found out that Lin Xian was also here for the assessment, there was a trace of hostility in their eyes, and even a trace of killing intent. After all, every participant was a competitor. Finally, the 5 chariots escaped the pursuit of the Earth Devil and entered the Dark Star System. This was the territory of the underworld. After entering, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Then someone snorted. The Earth Devil was too despicable. When they returned, they would report to the underworld and let the experts of the underworld kill it. Lin Xian was silent at the side. He rarely spoke, but he heard a lot of news and had a better understanding of the underworld. There were countless experts in the underworld. The underworld was created by the Underworld Emperor, so the person with the highest position was the Underworld Emperor. Of course, this position was currently empty because no one had become the Underworld Emperor. Under the Underworld Emperor, there were many terrifying existences, and they were divided into different factions. For example, Yellow Springs, Limbo, Mangpa, the 18 levels of hell, and the 10 Yama Kings. These were all peak experts. They had huge forces behind them, and they represented different factions. Thus, the entire underworld was formed. After hearing this, Lin Xian was shocked. He secretly compared it with the Heavenly Court and found out that the Heavenly Court had 12 Tao palaces, Southern Heaven Gate, and Heavenly Soldiers and Heavenly Generals. Other than these, there were definitely other factions. There was also the Purple Palace. It was also incomparably mysterious and terrifying. Lin Xian asked Xiajiu which faction to choose after entering. Xiajiu said that he could choose the 18 levels of hell or the 10 Yama Kings. That's right. The underworld and the power of reincarnation are somewhat related. You can also borrow this power to cultivate your reincarnation power. If you succeed when you return to the buried Emperor Star, you can directly ascend the sacred Abyss Tower and participate in the coronation. After hearing this, Lin Xian was stunned. He then took a deep breath and clenched his fists. He didn't expect that he would have such a good opportunity on this trip to the underworld. If he really succeeded, he would be able to catch up to the Dragon Prince and Kunping-zi in the shortest time possible. At that time, he would be able to compete with them. Of course, the most important thing now was to remove the infernal evil eye on his back. Lin Xian decided to go to the 18 levels of hell. After entering, an old man asked Lin Xian and the others where to go. Lin Xian said that after the 18 levels of hell. The old man said, "Wait, someone will take you there very soon." The others also split into several groups, according to their own wishes. Many of them walked towards Lin Xian. Clearly, they also wanted to join the 18 levels of hell. The auras and strength of these people were also incomparably powerful. They looked at Lin Xian with disdain. They could tell that Lin Xian's cultivation was inferior to theirs. Moreover, they didn't sense any terrifying killing intent from Lin Xian. Such a person was nothing more than an ant here. He was here to die. Lin Xian and the others had a total of more than 40 people. After waiting for a while, they were taken away. They were brought to another world. These people had to pass the test first before they could join. 2 days later, someone came. A black-robed woman wearing a mask stared at Lin Xian and the others with flickering eyes. She smiled. "I have an extra opportunity here. If anyone wants, they can stay. An extra opportunity." The others' eyes lit up when they heard this. One must know that although they were geniuses from all over the universe, they also knew how difficult it was to join the underworld. Among the 40 people, it would be pretty good if 1/10 of them could pass. In the end, only one person could pass. Now that there was an extra opportunity, how could they not be excited? What kind of opportunity is it? Someone asked. Even Lin Xian looked up in surprise. An extra opportunity? That was interesting. Chapter 4978. The woman in front smiled. "I need 3 cauldrons." As soon as she said that, the expressions of the surrounding people changed. Cauldron Top was not a good job. She would definitely absorb their strength and vitality. In the long run, they would die. Many people quickly shook their heads. Lin Xian also sighed. He would not consider it either. It seemed that he could only participate in the test. The woman in black sneered. "Looks like you guys are not willing. Then I will choose myself. You, and you. The 3 of you come out and follow me." The expressions of the 2 people who had been chosen changed. Even Lin Xian frowned because the other party had also pointed at him. He did not stand up. Instead, he said calmly, "I advise you to choose someone else. Otherwise, you will regret it." "Kid, what did you say? Are you threatening me?" The woman in black turned around and smiled. The people around her also emitted cold killing intent. The surrounding people snorted. Among them, they did not think highly of Lin Xian because Lin Xian's cultivation aura was the weakest. But now, the person they did not think highly of dared to resist. Did he want to die quickly? The other 2 chosen people also shook their heads and sighed. Even people as strong as them did not dare to resist. Where did this kid get his courage from? "I will choose you today. What can you do to me? You are just a newcomer. It is not certain if you can stay here. And I am a member of the underworld. My words are orders. I can control your life. Do you understand? You control me." Lin Xian laughed coldly when he heard that. "I'm afraid you don't have that right." "Humph. I haven't been here for a long time. Who will teach such a bad-tempered newcomer a lesson?" The woman in black looked at the people around her. This time, she did not come alone. Instead, she brought a group of experts with her. Clearly, her status was not ordinary. "Let me teach him a lesson." A withered old man walked out. Both of his arms were black as ink and carried an extremely terrifying aura. Dark ghost hands. Many people couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air when they saw this. They hadn't seen it before, but it was like thunder in their ears. This pair of hands was extremely difficult to master. Once it was mastered, a single claw could easily turn a Saint King into ashes. Now that the old man had mastered it, none of them were a match for him. Seeing that someone recognized him, the old man had a smug look on his face. He looked at Lin Xian and smiled. "Kid, are you regretting it now? If you regret it, then obediently kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake. Then you can still live. Sigh, brother, just accept your fate." Being a cultivation vessel did not necessarily mean death. It would only cause one's cultivation to stagnate. However, it was still better than being killed. The people around them also shook their heads. In their opinion, Lin Xian could not resist at all. Regret? Lin Xian smiled. Why should I regret it? This kid was really stubborn. The surrounding examinees shook their heads and sighed. They knew that this kid's fate would be very miserable. The expression of the old man in front of him also darkened. Did he refuse a toast? Then I'll make you regret it. He roared angrily and stretched out his black palm. The ghostly hand swept across heaven and earth. Around him, an extremely terrifying phenomenon of heaven and earth appeared. Countless Tao patterns intertwined around him as if they could destroy everything. Retreat quickly. The surrounding examinees felt that their souls were about to be torn apart and retreated in horror. At this moment, an empty space appeared around him. Only Lin Xian was still sitting there. Facing such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian was still not afraid. His eyes flashed with a cold light. He raised a finger and pointed forward. His movements were very light and slow. However, an extremely cold sword light flew out from his fingertip. Boom, boom. The two collided. The ghostly hand was originally unstoppable, but at this moment it was pierced through. Not only that, this sword light pierced through the palm and charged towards the old man in black. The old man in black's palm was pierced. He screamed and quickly retreated. However, he did not expect that the power this time was far beyond his imagination. In an instant, the sword light was in front of him and directly pierced through his forehead. Poof! He fell on his back and snowflakes appeared on his forehead. Until his death, he did not believe that he would be killed in one move. The surrounding examinees gasped. What was going on? Was he dead? The ghostly hand was broken. Not only that, but the old man was also killed in an instant. How could this be? At this moment, the examinees felt cold all over. They looked at Lin Xian with horror. This was the person they did not think highly of the most, but his power was completely above theirs. The woman in black was also stunned. She did not dare to believe that the people she brought were all experts, especially the old man who attacked. The ghostly hand of darkness had been trained for thousands of years. Its power was so terrifying, but now it was killed. How dare you kill him? The woman in black roared. She was very angry and felt like she had been slapped in the face. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Get lost or die. You! How dare you? The person who dares to go against the Ghost Eye clan has not been born yet. You will definitely die. Attack! Kill him for me. A few more people walked out from behind the woman in black. One of them was a woman who was holding a black bell in her hand. There were a few ghostly heads painted on it. They looked extremely ferocious with green faces and fangs. The bell of the Ghost King. This bell was also able to take away one's vitality. When the four ghostly heads on it shook, they could directly devour the soul and blood of others. It would not take long for them to turn into a skeleton. After the woman took out the bell of the Ghost King, she began to activate it. An extremely terrifying sound, and the four ghostly heads charged towards Lin Xian. In an instant, they enveloped him. The four ghostly heads wanted to devour Lin Xian's body and soul. Humph! Lin Xian sneered. How dare you devour me? He secretly activated the sky-devouring jar, for black vortexes appeared around him and swallowed the four ghostly heads. The four ghostly heads seemed to have discovered the most terrifying thing and wanted to escape. However, the black vortexes directly enveloped them. In an instant, the strange phenomenon and ghostly heads in the world disappeared. Uft! The woman in front of him vomited blood and her face turned pale. How could it be? How could you break it? She was too shocked. Her sacred artifact was broken and she suffered a backlash. She was injured. At this moment, the ground behind Lin Xian split open and a white-boned sword pierced towards his back. The attacker was also a skeleton with ghostly fire dancing in its eyes. Hee kid, go to hell. With his strength, this sword could completely pierce through the opponent. When the opponent was seriously injured, there would only be one outcome, and that was death. In the face of the sure kill sword from behind, Lin Xian did not even turn his head. It was as if he did not know at all. When the woman in black saw this, the corners of her mouth curled up into a smile. It was over. Although she had lost an expert on her side and seriously injured another expert, that kid was definitely going to die. Chapter 49-79. Facing the white-boned sword, Lin Xian didn't move at all. He didn't even care. The sword collided with his body, emitting a deafening sound. Under the shocked gazes of countless people, the white-boned sword broke into countless pieces. That white skeleton was also directly shattered by the rebounding force, turning into powder. Countless people looked at the scene and gasped. They were all stunned. How strong was this person's physique? Lin Xian looked up at the black-clothed woman in front of him and smiled. Do you still want to continue? The black-clothed woman felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave. Her expression became extremely frightened. This person's strength was far beyond her imagination. The people she brought were no match for him at all. She gritted her teeth. Damn brat, just you wait. The Ghost Eye clan won't let you go. She snorted coldly and turned to leave. The surrounding people also sighed. The Ghost Eye clan was also an extremely terrifying clan in the underworld. Their pair of ghost eyes were extremely evil. Now that this young man had offended such a huge clan as soon as he arrived, his end would probably be very miserable. Lin Xian snorted coldly after hearing this. You really don't know what's good for you. If you had knelt on the ground and kowtowed to apologize, I could have considered sparing your life. However, you actually dared to threaten me. Do you really think that I won't dare to kill you? At the end of his words, a piercing killing intent appeared on Lin Xian's body. How dare you? The black-clothed woman roared crazily. However, in the next moment she was terrified. Damn it! She saw a sword chi coming towards her. Poof! In an instant, the black-clothed woman was split in half. She let out a miserable cry. The surrounding people were terrified. Did this young man kill her just like that? Was he really not afraid of offending the Ghost Eye clan? No, I won't accept this. The black-clothed woman roared crazily. Her eyes turned gray as she used the last of her bloodline power. Grandpa, save me. An extremely terrifying gray cloud appeared in the void. In the next moment, an angry roar was heard. Who dares to hurt my granddaughter? As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people's scalps went numb. Not good. Retreat quickly. These people quickly retreated. The newcomers had the aura of a great sage, and they also had a biting, cold, killing intent. If a fight really broke out, they would most likely be obliterated in an instant. All of them had fled. In the next instant, an old man appeared. He had a pair of ghostly eyes with green flames flickering in them. The surrounding sky and earth were collapsing. Fortunately, those people ran away quickly. Otherwise, they might have really died. Grandpa, save me. The woman in black became very weak. Don't worry. With me here, no one can hurt you. He displayed great confidence. With a wave of his hand, endless laws enveloped the black-robed woman. However, in the next moment, he was stunned because the black-clothed woman's soul suddenly split open, and the originally dim sword chi suddenly erupted. The woman in black was slashed into nothingness. At the same time, a faint voice rang out. "Can you stop the person I want to kill?" "Damn it! How dare you attack me in front of me?" The old man turned his head, and the killing intent in his eyes continued to erupt. Boundless ghost chi and death chi appeared on his body. His eyes were capable of burning everything. After he came, he said that his granddaughter was absolutely safe. However, the other party instantly slapped him in the face. His granddaughter was killed in front of him. That method was so strange that it shocked him. "Young man, you have completely angered me. I will let you know the taste of living a life worse than death." Those who had fled into the distance retreated again. The front had already become the sacred domain of a great sage. Anyone who entered would instantly be reduced to ashes. They were terrified. "Do you think that kid can still be alive? How is that possible? He will definitely die." No matter how powerful a Sage King was, he couldn't compete with a great sage. Not necessarily. If he had a heaven-defying treasure in his hands, he might be able to compete with a great sage. Some people shook their heads. That was an ordinary great sage. They underestimated the Ghostly Eyes clan. Their eyes were extremely terrifying existences in this region. This kid was definitely dead. In front, Lin Xian also stood up and said indifferently, "Your granddaughter is courting death. She deserves to die. I advise you to leave quickly. Otherwise, you will also be buried in the 18 levels of hell with her." "And you are just a sage king. How do you know the power of a great sage? Even if you are a genius, you are not my match at all. Today I will let you see the ultimate technique of the Ghostly Eyes clan." That old man, the green flames in his eyes suddenly enlarged, and an extremely terrifying technique soul force swept forward. "I will refine your soul into a ghost. I will make you unable to reincarnate forever." Technique? Lin Xian smiled. "Coincidentally, I have also cultivated an technique. Why don't we have a contest?" Hearing this, the old man's face darkened. "I will send you on your way." The green light in his eyes completely exploded, turning into 2 balls of ghost fire that flew over. Once a person's soul was enveloped, it would not disappear but be refined into a ghost. There would be no reincarnation. A golden light appeared in Lin Xian's eyes, and the power of reincarnation appeared, turning into 2 reincarnation tablets. They suppressed forward. Boom! The green flame stopped 1 meter in front of Lin Xian. One of the reincarnation tablets directly suppressed it. The green flames were instantly torn apart. How is that possible? Ghostly Eyes Elder's pupils shrank. He took 2 steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. His soul was injured. What was with the other party's golden eyes? How could they be so powerful? He knew that he had been careless. The young man in front of him was actually so terrifying. The other party's technique did not seem to be weaker than his. Damn it! He gritted his teeth and wanted to attack again, but it was already too late. The other reincarnation tablet was still suppressing him. Damn it! Block it for me. His ghost turned into a green flame that surged into the sky and swept up. But in an instant, it was pierced through by the reincarnation tablet. Ghostly Eyes Elder's body was sent flying while spitting out blood. He screamed crazily. His soul was severely injured. His eyes were also bleeding nonstop. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian shook his head. Your technique is really not that good. Damn it. Ghostly Eyes Elder roared crazily. He was actually injured, and his soul was severely injured. He was injured by a young man. He could not bear it. Who are you? What kind of technique are you cultivating? He roared crazily. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Ignorant thing, you can't even recognize my technique. It seems that you are also an ant. Lin Xian's words completely infuriated the other party. Kid, just you wait. You are dead meat. I am going to gouge out your eyes. I will make you suffer a fate worse than death." As he spoke, the ghost-eyed old man fled into the distance. Lin Xian snorted. "You still want to leave? Reincarnation millstone." The heavenly secret divine eyes erupted once again. The gaze inside turned into a millstone that kept spinning. Every time it crushed, heaven and earth would shatter. An extremely strong soul storm swept in all directions. Ghostly Eyes Elder felt that his soul was cracking. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.